Ready now. I forgot something in the other room.
We don't want to rush
set to go. No, you wouldn't want to rush it.
No.
Why would I want to be in here when the show actually starts, right?
Right.
That seems stupid. Fred, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good, Sue. This was our chance. We could have taken over the show.
Yeah.
Could have.
We had a lot
close.
to say.
It was close
I was
for
telling
sure.
Fred, Michael took off, drove the motorcycle today up to Chicago. We have fascinating conversations off the air.
So, what, the motorcycle, is there only one?
No, there are two.
Okay. Do you ever ride a motorcycle?
I ride on the back.
You ride
I
rhymes
ride
like which?
I ride.
Yeah. So like I learned about that. I think I told you that at the Harley 90th anniversary. I was in Milwaukee, and I'd never been on a Harley before because I'm a wuss. Never been on a motorcycle. Actually, I'd been on a motorcycle when I was a kid, and it scared the hell out of me.
Oh.
It was more of a dirt bikey thing, and I didn't like it. Because it scared me, and I was doing stupid
nobody
stuff.
showed you how to do it
No,
properly.
no, I'm pretty sure alcohol might have been involved too.
Whoa.
So that's not a good thing. But at the Harley 90th, because I think I was there in Milwaukee for the 90th and 95th, or it was the 95th and the 100th. It's crazy, all these Harley people.
Oh,
so I'm
sure.
like, I want to ride on a Harley. So not only did I ride bitch, but I rode bitch with a woman. So how about that,
Oh
right?
my gosh. It was Kent Earhart of Channel 4 who taught me that term many years
Fred
ago.
looked very jarred by that. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
just being honest with you.
Would
That's
you
what
still
it's
call
called.
it that when you're riding on the front or in the back with a woman?
Yes,
That's
yes,
a solid
yeah.
question,
That's
though,
like
Fred.
it's even worse.
Yeah.
I think is when. Yes, I know. I get it. I get your question, but no, she was awesome. She took me for a little tour.
That is hilarious. And I love that story.
Oh my gosh, I have so much to say about the most boring All-Star game in history, but I'm going to wait for that for the 4 o'clock hour. As great as the home run derby was, and by the way, as a baseball fan and as a Cardinals fan and as someone who wanted to see if the Cardinals would play, I hung in there till the end last night because Herrera didn't bat, I don't think, until the 8th, and then he grounded out. And then Jordan Walker finally got in the 9th, and he struck out. Look, the American League pitching was just really incredible.
It must
last
have
night.
been.
Yeah. So I'll get into that. I want to start, though, with something pretty serious here. And I will say that this is a story that I've ignored up until this point, and I'm a little embarrassed that I've ignored it. And quite candidly, I think it should be a national story. And it is horrific what happened in East St. Louis with these 2 teenagers who killed this entire family. And a lot of this came out in court today, and it is revolting when you hear the details. So you have, and for people who haven't heard about this, this was 5 separate people were killed in East St. Louis at different locations, all right? That's what makes this
It was planned.
It was very planned, right? During, a period where these 2 people, this young couple, it was a 15-year-old girl and her boyfriend. The 15-year-old girl is a juvenile. She's being charged as a juvenile right now. They're going to try to get her to, be charged as an adult. Jamir Davis is 16. They're identifying him. This is from our local paper because he is being tried as an adult. So the 15-year-old girl writes in an Instagram message to Jamir Davis, "Babe, I'm finna lose my whole family for you." Another message in the exchange read, "I love blood." So they were charged yesterday. Police say that they plotted and carried out the murders of 5 people in that girl's family. 2 other people were injured. And when they had the pretrial hearing this morning, there were details that came out that were really, really gross and scary. And I'm just going to tell you some of this is PG-13 plus rated. So when they found these guys, the couple, they pull the car over. It's a maroon Buick. They find a severed thumb in the car. You know why they had the thumb? The girl says, "That was my grandma's. She's dead. The thumb was used." This is like, a television or movie. The thumb was used to unlock her grandmother's phone. I swear to God. That's what they said in court. So this all went down 7 a.m. Sunday is when it started. The police in East St. Louis respond to a report of a body dumped behind a dumpster in a housing complex. They identify that person as Sherry May, 49. There's another injured woman near Argonne Drive and Lynch Street in Jones Park, 21 years old, Quentin Thomas, dead. Back at the Gompers complex, officers found the body of Devin May, 24, in apartment 8C. At this point, the investigators say they were worried for all of the other family members of the 15-year-old girl. So they pinged cell phone locations. They found the red Buick at the Frank Holton State Park. That's where they arrested the couple. but then they keep finding more bodies. After the 15-year-old told them where to look, they found Patricia May, 74 years old. That was the grandmother who lost the thumb. Tiffany Thompson, the girl's mother, was injured at Jones Park, but survived. Thompson reported that her gun was stolen. This is the mom. On July 7th, she told police at the time she thought her daughter, again, her daughter was only 15 years old, had taken it. They said that they lured, this is what the prosecutor says, the couple lured Patricia May to the apartment. Davis shot her in the head. He also shot Devin May when he went upstairs in the apartment searching for Sherry May. Of course, the defense attorney, the public defender, says, oh, none of this happened, right? This is not a case where he is the hunter. He is the hunted. So he's trying to put it all on the 15-year-old girl. The kid who's the 16-year-old who's being charged as an adult doesn't have any prior criminal history, but is now charged with 5 counts of murder, along with more than a half dozen other offenses, including dismembering a body, attempted murder, battery, vehicular hijacking, using a stolen gun. He's being held at the juvenile detention center without bail. The 15-year-old girl has been charged in juvenile court with first-degree murder and other charges. They want that moved to adult court. Then it becomes public, which I think is correct. I mean, can you even imagine? Honestly, this is a 15-year-old girl. Now, look, these are cultural issues that I don't know how you fix these. We're going to talk about this a little bit, even this afternoon, with Heather MacDonald, who wrote about, the teen takeovers that we've seen. We've seen them in Holly Hills. We've seen them at the Sky Zone in Shrewsbury. So it's one of those things in this particular situation. What do you do? I mean, you have 2 young kids who feel like offing an entire family is a path to what? What does that afford you? And apparently they gave up the information pretty quickly. It wasn't like the 15-year-old wasn't telling the cops where the other bodies were, right?
It's
what?
so disturbing. And
yes.
It's something like I hear it and I say I don't want to hear it, but we need to hear it.
Yeah, because, one of the things that I'll bring up with Heather is you remember that situation from, what was it, like 5 weeks ago now at the Sky Zone in Shrewsbury where, this party, this 6-7 thing gets announced. There's like 350 kids that aren't let into the Sky Zone because they're at capacity and they start rioting. But the thing that really pops out from that story, remember, is that there's a 12-year-old girl that's up in Florissant that sees this on social media and decides that this is the best move, to grab a knife and to call an Uber as a 12-year-old, take that Uber 20 miles to Shrewsbury in the Sky Zone to get involved in the fight that she saw on social media. I mean, that is not, now that there's parenting issues here. I know that, let's face it, there are kids in Baldwin, in Manchester, and, in St. Charles that make mistakes and do things too. But these are much, much broader cultural issues that we'll talk about with Heather when we talk about these teen takeovers and some of the other stuff that's happening. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into play there, including lack of policing. But this is horrific, what happened in East St. Louis.
So is the story that the girl, the 15-year-old, had her boyfriend do all of this for her, and so he
I don't think that's clear.
Or that's what I can't understand that part.
I don't know that we've been. I don't think the motive has been clear, other than the fact that the one message that they revealed during the court hearing is she said, "Babe, this is the 15-year-old. I'm finna lose my whole family for you. I love blood." By the way, I kind of give credit for the Post-Dispatch for actually quoting it accurately, because the finna is also a cultural thing, and they didn't try to clean up that quote. So I don't know. But 5, that's a mass murder, by the way. And, the other thing about that is that don't forget that gets counted in, like, the mass shooting numbers, right? That's not a mass shooting. That is 5 people were killed and 2 others injured. Again, Fred, have you seen any coverage of that on Fox?
Oh, no, not at all.
Because, honestly, this is one of those, and again, I will say this, that my mindset, this isn't fair, but sometimes my instincts, and Annie kind of has opposite instincts, I ignore Illinois at my, peril and risk. And I don't mean to. We have a lot of listeners over there, right? But the mindset as a St. Louis person, as a Missouri person is, and even in East St. Louis, because East St. Louis isn't North St. Louis, right? It's over in Illinois. I sometimes don't pay as much attention. But when I saw the details of that hearing today, I'm like, this is horrific. And I think they're just scratching the surface, because this was just preliminary stuff. Anyway, We'll cover that this afternoon. Jon Levine has written something in the New York Post, actually the Washington Free Beacon. He used to be at the New York Post. John's been a guest many times before. He's kind of talking about some other kind of violence that has been happening with the teachers union in Chicago hosted this Israel-hating communist convention, and John and the team at the Washington Free Beacon, they got a ticket. They were able to buy a ticket and walk around this and kind of expose some of the anti-American stuff that's going on. I mentioned Heather's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. It's a Wednesday. Our friend Alex Rich will be here in the 4 o'clock hour. Duane Patterson, who is the host of the Duane's World podcast with hotair.com, joins at 5:04. And then this is pretty cool. I love this. Kyle McClellan, former Cardinal, World Series champion. He's become a friend over the years. He has a great charity called Brace for Impact 46, and he is bringing a professional women's softball team to St. Louis later this month.
Interesting.
And there are other former Cardinals, like Matt Adams is involved and some other people. So Kyle is going to give us the details on that. I love it. I think it's very cool, and I know that he's excited about it. That's at 5:30. And then the British Open, or as they call it, like the Open Championship, where it's going to be really, really tough course conditions. And obviously a little bit of a time difference here in the States. But Dan Reardon, our golf expert, no relation, comes up at 5:45 before audio cut of the day.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Boy, we have a serious issue, an accident on northbound 270, essentially at 6440, and they have closed down the northbound lanes. So we've got traffic just as a parking lot jam that goes back to Doherty Ferry. Again, northbound 270 closed near 6440 at this hour, and we've got a jam back through Doherty Ferry. Now, southbound drivers on 270 are slowing for a look. We've got some volume westbound 6440 around Hampton out through McClellan, then again at Hanley. But boy, is it a mess at northbound 270 as you approach 64. I'll keep you posted on that. Also jammed on the Illinois side, 5570 in both directions between 111 and 255. That is all due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
What the hell happened? Yesterday was like perfect traffic,
I know.
right? And then today's already just a nightmare.
Woo.
By the way, there has been a goal in the England-Argentina game.
Ain't that great?
And Mark just hit the wrong soundbite.
I was going to say, why is that funny?
Well, it's not. I could have faked it
Okay.
out. I should have faked it out and said, I meant to hit that, but I meant to hit this one.
Oh, you English are so superior.
England is up 1-0 on
Whoa,
Argentina.
whoa.
They just scored at about the 54-minute mark, so we'll keep you posted on that. We have a great offer from Stewart's American Mortgage, and it's a bit of an extended offer from last month. So we're doing a couple of things here. When I say we're, I mean Stewie is. So this is great. If you are interested in buying a home, and maybe you've been on the sidelines because you think rates are too high, he has a great limited time offer for you. If you're buying a home, a 1% discount on your interest rate for the first year. So for the first year of your new loan, you lock in a 1% lower interest rate on a 30-year loan, and you still get the bagel loan, no closing costs. Now, this is where we take it a step further. If you refi and you go from FHA to conventional, he's also going to lower the rate by 1%. 314-324-4440 is his cell phone number. You don't have to sit on customer service. You're going to go right to Stewie or Jordan, his son. They handle all the loans. They can close you in as little as 10 days. And again, for purchases, 1% lower plus the bagel loan. For refis from FHA to conventional, 1% lower plus. You don't pay appraisal fees, closing costs, title fees, broker fees. That saves you a lot of money. Stewart's American Mortgage, 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
I'm Dan Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Last year, millions of people called us for representation. Why? Because trust grows when you win, and we've won a lot. Over $30 billion and counting. When you call America's largest injury law firm, you're calling a family. You're calling an army, our army. You're calling somebody who will fight for you. Injured? Let our family fight for your family. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
You know, as I was mentioning, we've had a fair amount of these teen takeovers here in the St. Louis area, and they're rather scary for the people who find themselves in the middle of it, and then the cops don't show up. Our friend Heather MacDonald, who's a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute and writes at the City Journal, wrote about this. It caught my attention because there's so much, unfortunately, connection to St. Louis. I mentioned the thing that happened at Sky Zone. We have other things as well. Heather MacDonald, thank you so much for coming on 97.1 FM Talking St. Louis. How are you? Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Look, as I said, though, like we've had this happen here. Let me give you a couple examples. So one time in the city of St. Louis, but in a pretty nice area we call Holly Hills. I used to live there. It's near what is a great city park, Carondelet Park. Complete teen takeover, the middle of this intersection. You know, one night the residents were caught off guard. The cops never even showed up. Then we had something, and by the way, we've had a lot more than that, but on a different note, and you write about these because there are some differences in the way these teen takeovers take place. We had a one of those like Sky Zone, I think it was. I can't remember exactly the name, but all these kids showed up because there was supposed to be like a 6-7 party, and it got to capacity, and they wouldn't let the kids in. There's like 300 kids from North St. Louis. This is not in North St. Louis. It's miles and miles away. They start to fight. They take over a Walmart and other stores, Heather. They end up closing down the whole shopping center because these kids went nuts. But this is part of the pattern that you're writing about, isn't it?
Right. I mean, for decades, the elites have been excusing black crime. I'm going to be very upfront. This is a race issue that we're talking about here in the name of fighting social injustice, systemic racism, and they've been telegraphing the message that it's okay to steal, it's okay to assault police officers because you are victims of white oppression. And the juvenile justice system has been becoming more and more lenient. Prosecutors in more conservative jurisdictions that are in blue states just despair at the state rules that are being imposed upon them that basically make it impossible to impose any consequences on teens. And as a result, there's a sense of being able to wreak havoc with impunity. And then what happens after a teen takeover, this has been something that's got the media's attention, then there's a whole new set of justifications, even more preposterous than the usual ones that come up. This is because of loneliness or social isolation or COVID or capitalism or lack of opportunities. None of that is true. It's about the failure of socialization and the lack of faith in law enforcement on the part of the elites that has resulted in the demoralization and the complete destruction of proactive policing.
Yeah, so, basically what happens here is the kids know that there's going to be no consequences. Like in that first episode that I, was explaining to you in Holly Hills, this went on for a while, and no cops ever even showed up. eventually it was too late. So one of the problems we have here is we don't have the resources, as is the case in many other cities. And then we know that the cops, they want to do their job, but they can't because there aren't a number, they're outnumbered, if you will. In that Sky Zone incident, one of the things that happened, this is crazy. Listen to this. So there's a girl, she's 12 years old. She's in North St. Louis. Again, Heather, this is more West St. Louis. It's about 20 miles away from North St. Louis County where this young girl lived. She was 12 years old. She sees this on social media. You're right about this. They put the stuff, they take cameras. By the way, they all have phones, don't they? And she decides to take part in the fight by going up there in an Uber, how a 12-year-old does this, and she takes a knife to that particular parking lot where these, teens have taken over the entire parking lot. And that's what she does. That's what she's inspired to do. She sees other kids fighting. She grabs a knife and goes to help. That's crazy.
Well, and this is all, there's a performative aspect to this. These takeovers are instigated on social media, and then, when they're underway and fights break out here and there and brawls and shootings, the teens run to the fights to capture it on social media that they can then post in order to hope to create a viral video. So the whole thing is very strange. It's very artificial, and it is all a voluntary decision on the part of policymakers to allow this to happen rather than to enforce the law in a neutral, constitutional, colorblind manner, despite the fact that doing so will have a disparate impact on black lawbreakers.
So you go through, the explanations, which are really kind of excuses that people offer for these takeovers. And one of them obviously always becomes poverty. But let's go back to the phones. All these kids have smartphones, right? They're not living below the poverty line. If they are, they're certainly spending their money in interesting ways, aren't they?
No, this has nothing to do with poverty. Americans today are not poor in any traditional sense, and these kids certainly are not either. They not only have smartphones, they have the latest jeans, they have the latest parkas. They're not stealing because they're hungry. Americans' health problem related to food is not too little of it, it's too much of it. We're dying of obesity and recreational eating, not of starvation. And so, when they're stealing from 7-Elevens after a street takeover, these are the car takeovers where intersections are commandeered and people drive stunts, very, very dangerous. They all flood to the 7-Elevens and strip the shelves bare, not because they need food, but because those are open late, they're poorly guarded, and it's just an easy target for, I think, a sort of retributive aggression on their part against what they see as a racist mainstream society.
You kind of, Heather MacDonald is here. We're talking about the scourge of teen takeovers. You kind of started the piece, the most recent piece, talking about what happened in Chicago, and I didn't really know all the details of this, but it was something that happened during Memorial Day, and you had like 1,000 teens that were swarming the blocks around Lake Michigan. Now you got a guy in Brandon Johnson up there that likes to play, the excuse game and the victim card and blame police for things that happen. So I guess Chicago would be a right place for this happening. But even I think the people up there are sick and tired of it at this point. It's gotten so out of control.
Well, the residents are, and black residents are too. There was one takeover where the local TV station captured a black woman in her car saying this was just completely outrageous. She said they were twerking all over the cars, the usual accompaniment, and this is just not acceptable. So there are some black voices in the community that think there's no excuse. And I also quote a guy who's on the police commission, the Civilian Police Commission in Detroit, who was just incredibly admirable in his defense of law and order, defense of the police, and refusal to take any of these hilarious excuses. I mean, I quote them all, I go through them all in a spirit of contempt. I don't treat any of them seriously.
Yeah.
But his NPR questioner was saying, well, it's really capitalism, that cities are not built for teens, they're built for consumerism. And he said, why are they out at night? One of their they've had very violent takeovers involving young people being shot. And one of them was on a Sunday night, and he said, "Why were they out there? That's a school night. The parents should be watching their kids." And the NPR reporter said, "Well, don't all parents want the well-being of their children?" And he pointed out that there had been a recent beauty supply store opening, and that the line stretched, 3 times around the block to get in. And he said, if we had the same turnout for parent-teacher night in our Detroit schools, that parents took an involvement in their children's education and lives, we wouldn't be having this problem.
Yeah, that says a lot right there. One of the things, and this is where the dishonesty comes into play when the media covers this, because, someone like me gets into trouble. I have to be careful these days, because if I go on the X, formerly Twitter, and I point out that 99% of the kids that were on video in that takeover of the Sky Zone that I talked about were black kids from North St. Louis. They were not from that area. But that's, the newspaper coverage, the television coverage, the radio coverage, they don't tell you that, right? They say 350 kids. They don't tell you the race of the kids. So they dance around that. And, my answer for a lot of this, unfortunately, is I don't think you can fix this. These are cultural problems. You can't fix this, Heather. Can you?
Well, it depends on who the you is. I would say no, the mainstream society cannot. The change has to come from within the culture. In theory, you could imagine it being changed if there was sufficient support or stigma against single parenting and a expectation vocally expressed that parents will control their kids. But you're right. There's nothing else that, the usual social service programs can do. This is a breakdown of socialization, and that begins and usually concludes in the home. Schools can try and make up for the lack of structure that these kids are getting at home by having very, very strict rules, having high expectations, making no excuses. But the schools that are willing to do that, and most of charter schools are becoming fewer and fewer. And, of course, under the Obama and Biden presidential administrations, those Education Department and Justice Department under those Democratic leaders started suing schools if they had disparate rates of discipline between black and white students. And so any hope of compensating for the breakdown at home in civilizing authority, paternal authority, is gone.
Yeah, right. Great work here, as usual, in the City Journal. Heather MacDonald with the Manhattan Institute. Thank you so much, as always, Heather. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
We'll come back here, and I got a bunch of stuff, some audio I want to share as well. Don't forget Sue's News in the next hour, but it's a busy traffic afternoon.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
It is, and the big issue is that northbound 270 is closed just north of 64. And it's because of a large dump truck. Now, this dump truck overturned. It's on its side. And as a result, it dumped everything it was carrying, so dirt and rocks and everything else. And then cars were involved as well. So they have shut down northbound 270 north of 64. They've got a sweeper out there. They're still trying to get the dump truck righted. And this happened at 2:13 this afternoon. So this may be a while. And in the meantime, traffic is being diverted onto 40. And we've got a parking lot jam that goes back through Doherty Ferry. Southbound drivers are slowing for a look, but that's open. And it looks like you can still ramp on from westbound 64 to northbound 270. They'll take you around the accident. Now, the other jam is on the Illinois side, roadwork on 5570 in both directions between 64 and 255, causing delays. This report brought to you by Missouri Brush Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Riddle me this. How does a dump truck just kind of
I don't
flip
know.
on its side?
Don't know if it was an accident to begin with.
Yeah, that's great. But that sounds like it's going to take a while,
Yeah.
even though it's been a couple hours already. So we're going to keep you posted on that. It's like the opposite of yesterday, Sue. It was like,
Yes.
there wasn't a lot going on yesterday.
Yes.
Today there's a lot going on, but
Yes.
that's what happens. I want to guide you into my friends Mark and Neil Gelman at the Gelman team with eXp Realty because I'll give you a little flavor for just the character of these guys. Because when I met Neil for the first time, this goes back probably to about 2009. I was on an ill-fated bike ride. I got a flat tire. I wasn't prepared to fix it on my own. And I just had like two guys that passed me, and one of them stopped, and it was Neil. And I didn't know him, and he fixed my flat, and he dragged my butt back to the arch, and then I kind of rode back. I was living in the city at the time the rest of the way, but he had invited me to take part in a group bike ride, and we got to know each other. And eventually I hired them as my realtors, but I know them very well, and I know how passionate and knowledgeable they are, and they can really help you when you need help in a very, very tricky real estate market. Because, and the other thing about the Gelman team is that you're hiring an entire team. For me, when I sold my house, when my wife and I did, we had someone assigned on the sell side, someone on the buy side, and it was very, very efficient. So if you're interested in selling, maybe you're just wondering about the price of your home. If you're wondering about that, you can go online to thegelmanteam.com, and in 30 seconds, you'll click on something that says, how much is my home really worth? Find out for free. It'll kick back a price to you. You can take it to the next level with Mark and Neil and the team. Call the Gelmans today, 314-336-1991, online at thegelmanteam.com. Certain restrictions apply.
Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from Crawford Butts Insurance. As we reflect upon the 65th anniversary of Crawford Butts and we enter the heart of the summer season, I hope that you're able to take some quality family time and enjoy your family and friends, especially as we join together as Americans celebrating our 250th anniversary as a nation. So from all of us at Crawford Butts, a blessed summer and happy birthday, America. Contact me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500.
Did you know replacing old vinyl windows with more vinyl windows might not be the best choice? Hi, it's Kim, and I'm here to tell you about Infinity from Marvin Windows, because these fiberglass windows, they're energy efficient, they're beautiful, and they're custom built to fit your home perfectly. The team at Lakeside Renovation and Design just makes the process so easy. I love the fact that they even offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. Look, if you're tired of drafts, high energy bills, or maybe hard to open windows, now's the time to upgrade. Visit windowsbylakeside.com to schedule your free consultation today.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Story, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal, or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Story Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
25 years strong. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
You know, we're going to air the president's going to deliver a speech tonight. It's been a little quiet as far as what the topic is going to be, and I have no idea. I mean, he's kind of hinted towards something that would be connected to the 2020 election. Now, I'm not a big election, denier guy and all that stuff, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen there. He was on with Hugh Hewitt, and he talked about, I don't think he said anything about what he was going to talk about tonight.
All right, I'm looking forward to your speech Thursday night. You want to give us a preview?
It's just going to be a speech like a lot of my speeches.
It is tomorrow night. Thank you, Fred. I'm a little frazzled right now. The speech is tomorrow night, not tonight. Thank you. My brain got a little discombobulated because we had a guest that's not here. So I appreciate Fred correcting me because
Fred.
the speech is actually tomorrow night. And we still don't know, really what's going to happen with that. I'm not sure exactly what the president's going to talk about. I don't think we're getting any more indication today. Now, on the topic of Iran, Trey Yingst has been doing a good job of reporting on this. I mean, it seems to me that the war is back on. There is no ceasefire. They seem to indicate that we're in control. When I say they, the administration, Trey Yingst reporting on this right now saying, look, it's hard to tell right now who is in control in Iran.
There's a real understanding in the White House that they are dealing with two groups of people inside of Iran. You have these relatively more moderate voices, the foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, and also Iran's parliament speaker and top negotiator, Mohammad Ghalibaf. But when they make a deal, the question is, as journalists, that we must continue to ask, do they have the power to enforce an agreement? And at this point, it doesn't appear that they do.
Well, and that's been one of my questions from the very beginning. I mean, who actually has the power to make a deal? He seems to indicate, or at least the reporting that Trey's doing and the people are telling him, that there are back channel, communications going on.
What's interesting is there are clearly back channels with the administration and the Iranian regime. I asked the president, when was the last time you spoke with an Iranian official? And he said, my team spoke with Iranian officials an hour ago. And it gives you a sense of the real-time updates that the administration is getting, and also the warnings that they are delivering behind the scenes. You also have these other regional players, Pakistan and Qatar, that are continuing each and every day to try to bring both sides back to the negotiating table and reach a more stable agreement. But the memorandum of understanding was a relatively stable agreement, and it was violated. And so the question is, could they reach another deal that ultimately the Iranians will adhere to?
I think people at this point are kind of nicknaming that the memo of misunderstanding because it just didn't hold. It never really held from the beginning. So then Trey did, speak. His reporting is based on the interview and some comments that he had from Trump himself. The president says, well, he was asked, how open is the Strait?
Shipping data trackers indicate that just 10 vessels passed through the Strait of Hormuz on Monday, less than 10% of what normally goes through this critical waterway. Mm-hmm. When you say the Strait is open, what do you mean?
It's open if people want to go through it. We're not opening it for Iran. That's the only one it's closed for. It's closed for Iran both in and out. People are finding now that there are alternatives to the Strait of Hormuz. And it's pretty amazing. You saw the line of boats going up to Texas about 2 weeks ago when it was actually closed. It looked like the Long Island Expressway for ships. There are pipelines being built right now all over the place. It's going to be doing less business in the future than it used to.
So on the bombing campaign, because it seems like now, and we have an indication we're going after some of the infrastructure, the power plants, the bridges, et cetera.
We have seen extensive U.S. strikes against Iran for 3 consecutive nights now. This comes after the Iranians attacked vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. How would you describe what is happening at this moment? Has the war resumed?
Well, I guess you could define it any way you want, but certainly we're beating them up really badly. They have to be beat up. We're hitting them very, very hard. We're hitting every single thing that they have along the shore, along the waterfront.
Will these strikes continue?
They'll continue until I say it's enough.
Look, going back to the speech, I do hope tomorrow night he addresses the issue of Iran, because I think the American people need to hear him on this, and I don't think that there is any end in sight. This is going to go back and forth. Oil prices are going to go back and forth. Gas prices are going to go back and forth. This is something I've been worried about for at least 3 months now, because the Q word comes to mind, and that's quagmire. He was even asked about ground troops again.
Are you ruling out a ground campaign in a limited capacity?
I don't want to say that either, but I would say no if I thought it was appropriate. I'd say sometimes you need a ground campaign, but we have other people that will do the ground campaign for us.
All right, and then one question on expanding the targets, because I think some of us, and maybe a lot of you listening right now, will sit back and say, look, with all this bombing, what is left? And we allegedly destroyed their Navy, a lot of the other military targets that they have. So what else is left?
Are you considering hitting energy targets or other locations inside of Iran?
I'll save the energy targets for last, but ultimately we'll hit energy targets, yeah. Next week it gets really bad for them, because next week comes the power plants, next week comes the bridges. We're going to knock out all their power plants, we're going to knock out all their bridges, unless they get to the table and negotiate.
The only thing he's kind of ruled out, he did this, I think, a couple weeks ago, he says, going to make sure that there's water for the Iranian people, but he's also speaking in terms of how many people have been killed by their own people.
On the first night of Operation Epic Fury, you addressed the world and the Iranian people directly. You said to them, when we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. America is backing you with overwhelming strength. Do you still believe the Iranian people are capable of taking over their government?
I think they're afraid. They're being shot.
When you made those remarks,
Yeah.
did you believe regime change was possible at that time?
Yeah, I did. If they had guns, if they had weapons, I had no idea that they would be willing to kill 52,000 or even any people.
Yeah, whatever the number is. But look, it doesn't seem like. I think the president had his hopes pinned on something that might happen organically with regime change, and that simply hasn't happened. Trey Yingst does such a great job, though. You know, Fox gets criticized for being in the tank for Trump, but Trey Yingst and, you know, Jennifer Griffin and some of the other reporters they have that are in Israel and report on a regular basis really do a great job.
Yes.
So that's his latest interview sit-down with President Trump.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got northbound 270 completely closed just north of 6440. This is due to an accident involving an overturned dump truck which spilled its load, and of course there were cars involved and around there. They are in the process of trying to get this thing righted, and once they do, they can continue to close or to clean up the debris and try to get that roadway reopened. It's a good thing it's summer traffic. Whew. We've got a parking lot jam that goes back to Doherty Ferry, but it would be so much worse in a different season. Please avoid the area. Traffic is being diverted onto 40th South. I put it on X at Susan68 if you want to see what I'm talking about. Now, we also have a jam on the Illinois side, 5570 in both directions at 111. That due to road work, and 64 eastbound. Jams approaching Route 4. That also due to road work. Well, gosh, now we've got a closure over there as well. Boy, it's tough this afternoon in some areas. This report is brought to you by McKelvey Homes. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
We are actually experiencing our own little power outage here at 97.1 FM Talk in our building. It's actually the whole building. It's not just for the station, which is interesting. And they're trying to get some generators over here. Now, if we had a Generac automatic standby generator or a bunch of those, I think we'd be in better condition here at this building. But let me incentivize you to do this at your home, because these are great generators. And right now, because it's Freedom Month and we're celebrating our 250th anniversary as a country, new sales and installation customers for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis will get $2,500 off the entire order for the month of July only. So these are great, great high-quality generators, and a free estimate is just a phone call away. They have an outlet out in the Airport Road in Chesterfield. The number is 314-499-2020. You want to get your Generac generator from someone like Generator Supercenter of St. Louis that can do the warranty work and the maintenance work, because a lot of the HVAC folks and the competitors cannot offer that. A lot of them cheap out on even some of the wiring. You don't want to do that. Go with the high quality. At the very least, get a free estimate, especially now with $2,500 coming off that price during the month of July. That is a limited time only, but low monthly payments and financing are available. Again, the number for Generator Supercenter of St. Louis, 314-499-2020, GeneratorSupercenterofSt.Louis.com.
McKelvey Homes is breaking ground on something new in O'Fallon, Strawberry Farms. When McKelvey builds something, they do it right. Visit McKelvey Homes to schedule a tour at Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today and move up to McKelvey.
Ryan Wiggins here with 97.1 Talk in Action for this month. Stop by the Mission Depot in High Ridge on Saturday, July 18th from 9 to 2. New suits, on-site hiring, VA benefits assistance, and free hot dogs. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
Gentlemen, Mark Cox here. When's the last time you actually felt like yourself? Victory Men's Health specializes in hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, and longevity. It's built for everyday men who just want to feel better and perform their best. They already have offices in Town and Country, Sunset Hills, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. They're about to open a new location in Glen Carbon very soon. It's a higher standard of care just waiting for you. Learn more at victorymenshealth.com.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
If you like that comfortable setting to hang out where people know your name, check out Lit Cigar Lounge. My friends at Lit Cigar Lounge are fantastic. Brian and Dana and Andrew and Charlie and Nick and all of them down there are going to get to know you by name because it is a family-run business in the Chesterfield Valley in the district. They've got an extensive selection of bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails and some of the best hand-rolled cigars from around the world. Check them out at the district or go online to litstl.com.
Don't let tax refund worries hold you back. File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve or your money back. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
I mean, literally, as I was wrapping up that segment, Sue, when I pitched to traffic and you took over, I looked up at the screen. It was still England 1, Argentina 0. And I mean, it must have been just seconds after that Argentina tied it up. So that game is 1-1 in the 87th minute. So the game is almost over. They have that extra time, of course, that they, have, and then they'll go into the extra time periods for 30 minutes. So that'll be interesting. It looks, I mean, unless someone scores here in the last, they'll have probably about 10 minutes here. Give or take, 7 to 10 minutes, depending on the extra time. That was a heck of a goal. It was a really good goal. It was not Messi, but Messi kind of set it up and got the assist. So that's going on this afternoon. Obviously, the winner will face Spain Sunday in the World Cup final, which I think will be fun to watch. We'll see what happens there. I'm with my Spanish brothers and sisters. I can't even do this part without laughing. I swear to God. When I heard this morning, I really thought it was a joke. Do you know that Joe Biden is going to release... Not only is he releasing a book, a memoir on his presidency and the reelection, but they actually put a trailer out for it, like a video trailer.
Seriously?
I am, but I'm going to ask the audience for some patience, and I hope that they can understand what the president is saying, because they literally put subtitles on this because you can't understand half of what he's saying. I mean, it won't surprise our listeners because we knew this guy for 4 years, right?
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing?
Okay, like even the start there. Let me just start that again. The first 3 or 4 words you can't even understand.
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing? I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I've been dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I've been getting treatment, and it's been going really well. I want to thank all those who offered their prayers, their support, and well wishes. It's meant the world to me and to Jill. I've written a book about my time as president. It's called Promise Me America.
Promise Me America.
It's coming out in November, and it's available for pre-order now. It's about the challenge we face as a nation, about the decisions I made, and why I made them.
Okay, that's enough. I mean, he's not well. And here's a question. Remember, he was at Dr. Jill's, book release after she had gone on a couple of outlets like The View. And then he asked kind of that awkward question, remember, from the audience?
It
was weird. But I guess my question would be, by the way, you heard it's going to be released in the fall. So it's November 17th, right before Thanksgiving. It's called Promise Me America. Will he do a book tour for this? And by the way, they are, I guess maybe you give him a little credit because it's after the midterms, right? So they're not releasing the book before the midterms, which I don't know if that's good for Republicans because maybe you get that thing out before the midterms. It's even more embarrassing for the Democrats.
I'm sure that's purposeful. But I wonder, who is they? I mean, his publisher? I mean, who wants this thing out, and why is it getting, I guess so, right? They want the money?
Yeah, I guess so, because, it's a president writing a book, and that's pretty typical in the aftermath of someone's presidency. But honestly, what I'd like to know, he says he's going to write about COVID and some of the other things. I mean, you're going to get this one-sided view of something that he wasn't even involved in half the time. How do you write a memoir when you were barely awake during the 4 years of your presidency? I think that's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
How do you candidly speak about some of the ridiculous decisions that you made that led to hyperinflation? how do you explain your debate performance? How do you explain the
he
George
won't.
Clooney op-ed piece? Well,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I'll
he
be
won't
very, very curious to see. And then will he go on The View? And will he go on CNN and other outlets and take questions? Because he's not prepared to do that. I mean, you
No.
can say what you will about Dr. Jill. She's a joke and embarrassed herself, but she can put sentences together and you can understand what she says. I'd love to know. I wonder if you just Google this right now. I'd love to know how many copies of that book Jill Biden sold. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
How many copies of Jill Biden's book were sold? Let's just find this out because, and I don't have I'll have to ask Jennings. He might know, like, what's a good number of books? You know what I mean? These days, because it's very different than it used to be to make the New York Times bestseller list. So this says,
I only have early sales. What do you have?
well, I have, by the week ending June 20th, 29,539 print sales. Now, that's terrible. That's like 30,000.
Yes,
but
it
how
is.
many people downloaded it, right?
Well.
Now, this is confusing because it said 29,500, that was roughly sold in the first few weeks. That seems like a very low number.
Yeah.
Argentina has scored again.
Oh.
It's so funny because I even said something like, man, this game looks over unless they do what they did last time. And they're doing exactly what they did last time. They just scored 2 goals in a matter of like 6 minutes, I think.
Holy cow.
And they're in stoppage time right now. They got 92,
People
just about
are
93 minutes.
losing their
There's only about
minds.
6 minutes left. So England has 6. Oh, my God. And, because this is the whole conspiracy. The FIFA conspiracy is they're going to, it's ridiculous, but they let Messi and Argentina do whatever they want because that's who they want in the final. And that will, Ethan, kind of lend to the conspiracy theorists out there, won't it?
Yeah, there's been a couple of questionable calls throughout. We've talked about it a little bit. It's better when Messi's in the tournament. You want things to be fair, but this game I haven't seen anything controversial whatsoever, and Messi has had both of the assists. The second one was on a cross that was headed in, and unless something changes here in the past
5
few
minutes, right?
Argentina and Spain will square off in the World Cup final, but there's still, Argentina's proved that anything can happen, so there's still time left for something.
All right, we'll keep
to
you
change.
posted on that. In the meantime, traffic is a mess depending on where you are. Sue's got an update.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Okay, the big story and problem on the roads this afternoon is the closure of northbound 270 just north of 64. Now, this is because of a dump truck accident, and it happened at like 2:13 this afternoon. An accident involving a dump truck, a couple cars. The dump truck fell on its side, and it overturned, and of course it was full, so there's debris all over the place, and they're trying to get the dump truck righted. So in the meantime, traffic is being diverted from northbound 270 onto 64. And if you're northbound on 270, it is a parking lot jam that goes back through Doherty Ferry. Now, westbound 40 is slowing at Hampton out through McCausland. We've got a jam out west on northbound 61, an accident north of Highway P to blame. And on the Illinois side, eastbound 64 slow from 158 to Route 4. It looks like traffic is being diverted there because of an accident as well. Holy cow. This report is brought to you by the fabulous people at the Diamond Shop. I was just there yesterday. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, I want to talk about my friends at MasterCars Inc., Alex and Gary Rosenberger. I've known them now for a decade plus, which is really kind of hard to believe. It really is. And I met them in the spring, I would say probably 2015, and then by that time, I sort of knew that I was going to get a car at the end of that year. So I put them to work. I said, look, I'm looking for this car, this model, this color, these features. They got it here to St. Louis. It had like 4,500 miles on it. I had that car for 4 years until I bought another one from MasterCars, and they hooked me up again. My producer, we call him Producer Emeritus, David Klein, just found a Chevy Suburban with the help of MasterCars. So they can source vehicles, get them here to St. Louis. You can purchase them, get financed very, very easily. On the lot, they have really cool cars. cars. They have some everyday cars, but they specialize in Corvettes, a lot of Harleys, some classic cars like a 66 Ford Mustang Coupe is up there. There's a 1990 Jeep Grand Wagoneer 4x4 V8, which is very interesting looking with some panel siding. Master Cars Inc. Get with them today in Granite City. You can do a lot of this online or via text, mastercarsinc.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job. Cut the Bullpack paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Hey, St. Louis, need to sell your home fast? The Gelman team with eXp Realty can make you an instant cash offer in just 24 hours. No showings, no repairs, no waiting, no drama. Visit thegelmanteam.com to see what your home could sell for fast. Or give the Gelman team a call at 314-336-1991.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Waves of strikes against Iran. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The U.S. hitting Iran for a fifth straight day with 2 rounds of strikes so far today.
U.S. Navy and Air Force jets now striking around the clock, including daylight hours, in an effort to bring Iran back to the negotiating table. U.S. forces hit Greater Toom Island outside the Strait of Hormuz for the first time. Iran has controlled it since 1971.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. President Trump warning of ramped-up strikes next week if Iran is unwilling to make a deal, but saying again today they want to make a deal. Members of the U.S. military will have a new annual test added to their required health assessments. Testosterone screenings.
I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best.
In a video announcement, Secretary Pete Hegseth noting that testosterone levels often naturally drop with age. The screening will only be required for service members 30 and older, and if treatment is recommended, receiving it will be up to the service member. Hegseth also says this is not about artificial enhancement. The president says not so fast after a plan to limit vehicle stops by immigration enforcement agents, at least temporarily. President Trump posting ICE cannot give up on the tactic.
President Trump calling the traffic stop one of the agency's most effective crime-fighting tools, saying without it, ICE would play right into the criminals' hands. DHS says agents use the stops because you don't need a judicial warrant like you do if you go into someone's house. So that's why it's such a big tactic. The debate follows 2 fatal ICE-involved shootings in less than 1 week.
Fox's Alexis McAdams. At the World Cup, Argentina just taking a 2-1 lead over England in stoppage time of their semifinal. America is listening to Fox News.
Point. Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
I'm David Ortiz. When I lost my mom, she was only 46. And I lost my dad to cancer. It was the worst pain I ever felt. It made me think, what will happen with the people I love when my time is up? That's why I have life insurance. Ethos makes it easy. It's all online, take about 10 minutes, and you can get up to $3 million in coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The summer creep started to come back this afternoon. Clear skies. It's warm and humid this evening. Nothing extreme. 74 for the overnight low. Thursday, partly sunny, warm and humid. 93. Again, some spot thunderstorms around during the afternoon, Thursday into Thursday evening. The strongest, some heavy downpours and some lightning, but nothing severe. 75 Thursday night. Friday, partly sunny, warm and humid. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I think I'm very, very glad that I'm not a fan of the England football team because talk about blowing a game where you had a 1-0 lead and you had, I think, about 5 minutes in regulation left or maybe even 3 minutes, and then Argentina scores on a beautiful assist from Messi. And then I didn't even see the second goal. I don't know if you guys did, but I was doing my job here in the studio. By the way, our friend Alex Rich is here as well. But both of the goals, the late goals for Argentina, and it's now final 2-1 that was in Atlanta. Messi had the assist on both of them. So I don't know if any of us here are conspiracy theorists about Argentina getting to the final, but they're back in the final. They'll play Spain in, I guess, New Jersey on Sunday afternoon. These games have been fun to watch. I've really gotten into them. I watched this game before I hit the air, and it was knotted up. I still want to see that second goal because you got to figure that the English folks are just besides themselves right now, right?
It's rough for the English today, huh?
How are you, Alex Rich?
I'm great. Sue, you just missed it, by the way. Mark said he sometimes gets that he looks like Messi.
Are you kidding
And I
me?
said Messi is a little bit better looking than you, Mark.
And that offended me.
Well,
I don't
well,
like
hold
that.
on. Let
By
me
the way,
look
I
it
don't
up.
really see it. I've had people tell me this.
I think you might be taller than him.
Well, okay, by what,
Well-
half an inch or something like that?
Maybe.
Okay.
It's just this show. I mean, Fred has been told that he looked like Lionel Richie.
There you go.
I used
And
to get,
Mark is Lionel Messi.
I used to get, it's a Lionel.
Yeah,
Lionel.
it's a thing.
No, I used to get, what's his name, Batman a lot, Christian Bale. And I always liked that one. I mean, I swear to God, one time, this is a true story.
Not Adam West.
No, not Adam West. But one time I was I think I was in Las Vegas for like the Hangover junket or something like that. And I'm at a store in a mall. And
That's a movie.
What?
The Hangover.
Yeah, the
Okay.
jump for the movie The Hangover. And these two guys started calling me Batman. It was pretty funny. Like in a Banana Republic store or something like that. I'm like, no, I'm not Batman. But this was like 15 years ago. So I was a little younger looking at that point and maybe more resemble. I like the Christian Bale ones, though. I think that those were okay. I was comfortable with that. But I don't think it holds anymore. Now I just compared to old men. Right? You just look like an old man. So Alex played baseball at the University of Indiana, and he backed up Kyle Schwarber. You know Schwarber. You played golf with him, I think, last year in a little reunion event.
Saw him drink 28 beers on the golf course.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Mhm.
Was that not an incredible home run derby?
It was awesome. It was. I got a lot of texts that night, like, "Oh, are you bummed?" I gotta say,
did you have split allegiances
dude,
a little bit?
It was a win-win for me.
Yeah.
It was a win-win, and then at the end, I gotta say, I'm glad that the Cardinal Jordan Walker won. I mean,
right.
dude, and I've never, as a baseball player, I was watching the swing. What a swing Jordan Walker's got, man!
Ooh.
Just such ease
Yes.
and how quick the ball comes off his bat. He's hitting line drives that just go out.
I know.
I mean, if you remember, like Mark McGwire used to hit some absolute bombs, just like high, big league fly ball home runs, but he also hit a lot of line drive balls that just got
out of the park.
quick.
Yeah.
And man, Jordan Walker, especially like in a home run derby, I actually did one in a summer league, in a summer baseball league that I was in college. And I'll tell you what, they're very tiring.
Well, he said that even
And
because
so-
he had been in them before too and hadn't done well.
And so for him to be using minimal, what looked to be like minimal smooth effort those first couple rounds, I think definitely helped him in the end.
You could see him, and he talked about this a little bit afterwards. We played some of the audio, but you could kind of see him centering himself.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of taking a deep breath, saying, "Okay, let's stay
Mm-hmm.
focused." And that was impressive. But what's even more impressive, just his whole story. In how he's gotten to the point where he has in the turnaround is really incredible. So I would ask this question: how does a guy that leads Major League Baseball in RBIs doesn't get into the All-Star game until like the 9th inning? But that's what happened with Jordan Walker last night. But I know I'm going to get some disagreement here. Ethan and I have already disagreed mildly on this, but I walked in on a big rant because I just thought, did you watch the game last night, Alex?
I did watch a little, I would say on and off.
The game was boring, okay? And it happens. It was really good pitching on both sides, more so the American League. The broadcast of the game was awful, just terrible. And I don't know what Fox was thinking. At one point, John Smoltz, who I like, okay, he's making the case very strongly and emphatically that this All-Star game for Major League Baseball, it's better than all the other All-Star games because it's a real game and we're really looking strategy. And he's saying that as Joe Davis, who I don't like at all, is literally talking into the ear of either a batter or a pitcher while they're executing a pitch or while they're getting ready to hit a ball because they mic'd up these players.
Oh.
And our engineers will tell you, look, this is basic broadcast 101, okay? Brian or the people who set up our fish fries will tell you, put a damn headset on these guys. You can't hear them if you don't do that.
Right.
They put a little lapel microphone on some of these guys, Bryce Harper, and then they put an earpiece in. He's batting. The earpiece is coming out. Of course it is, because you're not meant to wear an earpiece when you're a batter looking at a 99-mile-per-hour fastball. So they're talking. I get that they're trying to do the interaction with the players and everything, but it was terrible. And Joe Davis was asking questions like he was a freshman in high school in a journalism class. Like, hey, what would your message be to those younger players? Like, that's the dumbest question that athletes get asked, and they've been asked it so many times. Get a little creative with your questions. So I thought the broadcast itself was just downright embarrassing on the part of Fox last night. They were trying to do too much. You couldn't hear what the players were saying because they weren't mic'd up properly. They had Pete Crow Armstrong at one point. He might have been the most interesting.
Yeah,
because
he was.
He actually made you like him a little bit more than you do because he was just not talking like a cocky baseball player. And he said something nice about St. Louis because they were asking him, and I thought this was a decent question, right? Okay, center fields are different, right? The ballparks are different. Which center fields do you like? He said, I like the Dodgers. He said one other, and then he said, I like St. Louis. So he likes Busch Stadium. But I just was so disappointed in the broadcast quality that Fox delivered after a really good home run derby on Netflix. I was really let down.
So you were one of the people that did like the Netflix broadcast.
Well, you know what? I liked the home run derby. The broadcast itself, they had issues with that the other
because
night as well.
all I saw on social media
No, it wasn't
in
good.
regards to that was like the camera angles that Netflix was showing, which I didn't have totally a problem. Look, I'll be honest. Do I think Barry Bonds is
awful.
good behind the mic? Not
was
at
awful.
all. I think he's
CC
literally
Sabathia was terrible.
I think these guys was like the post Derby interview with Jordan Walker and his family. When Barry Bonds was talking, it's like you ever watch something that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That is kind of how I felt when Barry Bonds was talking to Jordan Walker.
That's because they put Barry Bonds and CC Sabathia in positions that they shouldn't be
I
in.
thought
Now,
Rizzo was great. I thought Albert's great.
Albert did a good job.
But I did think that like some of the, the home run derbies about following the ball and seeing where the ball goes, and they would zoom in. Like a lot of the things that I saw were like on the player's chest or their face after they hit the ball.
Well, here's another
It's
miss.
Like,
okay,
we want to see the ball. We want to see the ball leave the park.
Here's another one. Complete miss on the part of them the other night. They show Jordan Walker. It's a great story, right? He's crushing home runs. They show his manager 4 times they show Ali Marmol with his hat on backwards and his smiling as big as he can. And they never mention, hey, that's Jordan Skipper who's working with Dave Roberts. Not once did they mention that. It was, both broadcasts were major fails in my, I guess I'm going to say both of them were.
But I know I didn't get to talk to you guys about it. Do we agree one of the best home run derbies? Like
the
new,
no doubt.
The 2015 swings.
I loved it.
The new format is unbelievable. That's how it needs to be. Because Schwarber was saying, like, it gives you a chance to watch the ball leave the park. You're not rushing against the clock. It's apples to apples. Everybody's getting.
Well, and the fans can see, as a television fan, you can see each home run. When they were doing the timing, you'd miss some sometimes. And it would be rushed. All right, Ethan, you're going to rip on my take on the game? Because I can tell you're over there kind of chomping on the bit.
He's sitting on his hands waiting.
I agree with a good chunk of what you mentioned. I think that sometimes in these games, they do try to do too much. I am okay interviewing guys that are in the field, whether they're playing in the outfield or shortstop. But once you start to get pitchers
and batters,
dude, it's hard enough to hit.
Even if it's an all-star game, they're still trying to do the craft in the moment. Dylan Cease, I believe, was the guy that was mic'd up at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
He's already not a super talkative guy. And now you have this weird situation where Joe Davis is trying to commentate on the game, but he also has to respect that everything he says is going through Dylan Cease, the starting pitcher's ear.
And he didn't do that because he was actually asking him a question one time when he's in the middle of his windup.
I don't necessarily like that part. I'm fine with them interviewing guys that are in the field because I think it's cool. I agree. I thought PCA's interview was kind of cool. Bobby Witt's
By the way,
was pretty
Dave
cool.
Roberts and John Schneider were great because they had freaking headsets on and they were both talking and you could hear them and the questions you could hear.
I do agree with what John Smoltz said that and this is maybe more so an insult on the other major sports. Baseball has the best All-Star game, and it's not close because the other ones are so bad.
Well, I do agree with that.
I don't disagree with what he said there.
Do you think there should be more on the line, though, like there used to be? Like it used to decide home field advantage in the World Series.
I am
your
very
record
big
at home.
anti that because I think then that it completely disregards
your regular
season.
Yeah.
So I think that the home run derby was much more exciting than the All-Star game. Here's one thing that I didn't ask you, and I know we got to get to Sue's News here pretty quickly, but one thing I want to ask you about is there was a lot of in-between inning stuff. I thought the introductions where they signed with
awesome.
the what looked like
with the kids on the bike
and
the kids coming out on the bikes was cool.
The Sandlot tribute I thought was amazing.
Yeah, that was cool.
The Boys to Men part, that was a little cheesy.
It was awful.
I didn't like it.
They couldn't hit the notes. I was cleaning up the bunny hutch and I'm like, I asked Becky, I'm like, who is that?
But some of those extra things that they did, it was very patriotic centered.
The Ray Charles thing didn't even make sense though, because that was actually from like 9/11.
Signing the lineup card was awesome. Anyway. I thought the way that they came out and announced each person was unbelievable.
We'll have to agree to disagree on something. By the way, Fred and I agreed on one thing. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there were the weirdest commercials during that game last night. Like Claude and some of the other...
Polymarket.
I'm not even making this up. They were awkward commercials. It was like, what are we watching here?
Really?
Oh, yeah. Bizarre.
Oh, that's
with
weird.
dead air in them.
Like things that would go to black, the screen. I think
Really?
they were trying to get your... It was different. It was very different.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, okay, major incident this afternoon, and northbound 270 remains closed north of 6440. Now, originally, this was an accident involving a dump truck that overturned, and then it spilled its load, and there were cars involved, and they tried to get the dump truck righted. Well, they did, and the dump truck is gone, but there's still debris in the roadway, so MoDOT still has northbound 270 closed while they try to clean this up, and they're diverting traffic around it onto 64. Well, then, on the southbound 270 ramp to Dorset, there's an oil spill. So they've shut that down, the southbound 270 ramp to Dorset. And also on the Illinois side, 64 eastbound is jammed at Route 4. It looks that is closed. 64 is closed just east of Route 4. And so traffic is jammed there as well. It's a busy afternoon. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The good news is you have a Wednesday edition of Sue's News on the way to keep you company here while you're stuck in traffic. So keep that in mind. Let me get you into some great flooring here in St. Louis, something that's going to fit your lifestyle and something you're going to be proud to have in your home for a long, long time. And I can give you a real-life example because we put the team at Michael's to work about a year and a half ago on taking out some flooring that was soft carpeting, putting in hard flooring. We love it. It looked great. We did it on a budget. They offer the most advanced technologies in flooring, whether it's waterproof, pet-proof, easy to clean, and that is not only with hard flooring. It could be also silky soft mohawk carpeting. You can get some inspiration by going online to igotfloored.com. If you click on the inspiration tab, a couple of things can happen there. You can see the new floors in your room by uploading a photo, or you can just check out their galleries, the carpet gallery, the hardwood gallery, the laminate gallery, the tile gallery, the luxury vinyl gallery, the vinyl gallery. The list actually goes on and on. Or you can skip all that. Go into one of the 3 locations, talk to one of Mike's great team members that have a depth of knowledge in flooring that is unmatched here in the St. Louis area. 3 locations, Darting Prairie, Old Town St. Peters, and in West County on Olive. The website, igotfloored.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Point Pest Control is reminding you it's time to spray for mosquitoes. How can something that tiny interrupt your outside gatherings? Have Point Pest Control spray today so your next outside gathering is mosquito-free. 636-798-0023. Mention Annie to save an additional 10%. PointPestControl.com.
A common question I receive is, how is the market right now? It just seems so volatile. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. If you want to buy or sell but feel overwhelmed by the whiplash of the market, then let's talk. With over 23 years as a broker, I have the exact experience you need to help you navigate this tricky market. Call me at 314-441-4444. 314-441, all fours. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
Have you ever felt like you were living just a B or B+ life? It's so dangerous to live that, more dangerous than a B- or a C+ life, because when you're living a B or B+ life, you don't change it. You think it's good enough. Is it? I'm Susie Welch. I host a podcast called Becoming You. People think, okay, an A+ life is not available to me, but there is a way. We are all in the process of becoming ourselves. Listen to Becoming You wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
All right, we got to get right to Sue's News because we're running just a little late here, so let's do it.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment. It's not clear messaging.
No. And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Somebody let me know on X all of the days that today is. He said, hey, am I too late to let you know what national days? I said, no, go right ahead. So here we go. Today is National Give Something Away Day, National Gummy Worm Day, Hot Dog Day, Pet Fire Safety Day, Respect Canada Day, Tapioca Pudding Day, which I find disgusting. I don't like the globules, Fred. Tapioca.
No, I don't like it, no.
Oh, Alex?
not my
thing.
favorite.
No.
I don't find it as disgusting as you do.
Yeah, I just I don't want a globule.
Okay, what is Pet Fire Safety Day?
Oh, well, I looked that one up.
Is that where like you put a little sticker in your window?
Yes, that's part of it. You have to, for the zoo, Mark Reardon, have with your fire plan in your house that we all have. Make sure you can get the pets
get the
out.
animals
so
out.
Putting that sticker in is part of
Okay,
it.
so just quick true story.
Yes.
My cat Max that I had for about 16 years, he was a cat I found in college. I give him credit for waking me up in the middle of the night when I had a roommate. When my roommate came home drunk and tried to boil pasta and just fell asleep, and the pasta created
my
this
gosh.
smoke. And my cat woke me up, and there's smoke all over the apartment. Luckily, there was no fire damage, but just from the pasta burning, you would not believe how much smoke there was. But that cat came up and woke me up, and I yelled at my damn
awesome.
roommate was on the couch downstairs. I'm like, dude! And everything smelled like smoke for weeks. All my clothes and everything. But that cat might have
Wait,
helped
did
out
the
a lot.
fire people come?
No, because
Oh.
it was just the stupid thing. He just burned the water all the way through, and the pasta just burned through because he was, passed out.
Wow, that is quite the tale. It's also Orange Chicken Day. I don't care for that either. I don't
not my
like
favorite
sweet
either.
and meat.
I
And-
like orange chicken.
See, people
I do
love
too.
it.
I like sweet and sour chicken, but I don't like orange chicken that
No,
much.
I find
Does that mean you don't like Panda Express at
No,
all?
I like Panda Express.
They have a lot
I've
of
never,
stuff
do you get
there.
the orange chicken there or no?
No, but they have like 40 other items, so
yeah,
I'm fine.
But I just feel
Yes.
like everybody gets the orange
Oh,
chicken.
well,
do you
I
think,
don't.
Fred?
Sue and
Yeah, I
I
do.
don't.
No,
Yeah, I get so.
Although I like all of it.
I do too. I like the hot and fire.
I find it no goo. It's also I Love Horses Day, Be a Dork Day, World Youth Skills Day, and Saint Swithin's Day, Clean Beauty Day.
Okay.
Sorry, maybe that's a typo. I didn't
know about
pre-read
that
the
one.
old tweet there. So thank you. I'm sorry. Posting on X on this day in history. 86 years ago, in 1940, the tallest man in history, the Alton Giant, Robert Wadlow, passed away at age 32. When he passed, he stood 8 feet 11 inches tall, weighed nearly 500 pounds. When he was in kindergarten, he was 5'6".
Wait, is this real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know? You know
Robert
about the
Wadlow.
Alton Giant.
Yeah.
I think
They have
I've
a
heard, but I mean,
statue
those
to him over there.
He was
8'11".
8'11".
Yeah.
Okay,
He
how many?
was my size in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Right, but how many?
Yeah.
How many people? I mean, how
That's
many people are
crazy.
even above 8 feet on the planet?
Well, that's
as
why
we
he's
sit?
the tallest man in history.
Okay, all right, there you go.
By the time he was 18, he was 8'4" and wore a size 37.
But he was
shoe.
fat too.
No.
I mean, if he weighed 5'11",
No,
he
he
weighed
was-
500 pounds.
No, he was skinny as a stick, dude.
Yeah.
But you're 9
Because he was
feet
that tall?
He was 8'4".
Okay, I'm learning a lot here. I did not know a lot of this.
Yeah.
Fred's looking at me with disgust that I don't
How
know
old-
anything about the Alton Giant.
How old was he when he died?
37.
Yeah, tall people
Oh,
like
I'm
that
sorry.
don't live.
I'm
that
sorry,
long.
32.
32.
Yeah. His shoe was at 37.
I
Man.
can see how that could be confusing.
A 37. Wow.
Right?
I
Oh
heard
my
them
gosh.
say something last night. One of the players last night had a size 18, I think. That's
Yeah,
big.
that's
That's big.
And I'd say good for him. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
There's a size 14 in my
they
household.
don't always
and
correlate,
those are
Mark.
difficult
Well.
to find those shoes. Okay, you guys, you're going to have to name this movie, even though Mark knows it because it's over there. This movie came out 38 years ago. Name it.
Identify yourself.
Not now.
Who are you then?
Line in the ointment, Hans. Pain in the ass. Call me Roy.
Christmas movie, right?
That's right. A nice Christmas film.
I've finally come around on that. I used to
Have
fight
ya?
against that. Now I've given up. I'm like, okay, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Alex, do you know it? Fred, I think, knows
Not
it.
a Christmas story, but a Christmas movie.
Right. That's Die Hard.
It's Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I am embarrassed a little bit to say this on air. I've
You've
never
not
seen it.
se-
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Alex Rich.
Mark,
I haven't.
You
I
are not
somehow-
allowed to come on this
I
show if you don't
mean-
do it this. Are you kidding me? That's one of the greatest
that
movies
something?
you'll
It
ever see.
is.
Yeah.
It's a great
It's
movie.
so good.
I
And
gotta watch
the
it.
sequels are decent too.
Yeah, they
Okay.
are. But this truly is the best.
How
So-
could you not have seen
You know,
that?
next time somebody says, "Let's watch a movie that we haven't seen," but it's like, well known.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the. I'm gonna make a note. That's the one.
Have you seen
Okay.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Of course.
Okay,
I've
well, I
seen
mean,
that one.
okay, of course, but
Would you say Die Hard is more of an of course than Ferris Bueller? I
Well,
think
they're
Ferris
both-
Bueller is more in my
Real House, totally.
Don't you
it's
think?
so fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the best movie ever. One of them.
I'm with Sue on that. Both of
It's-
those are.
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
really are. 38. So that was in 1988 when Die Hard came out. And then 20 years ago in 2006 was when Twitter was released to the public. It's only 20 years old.
I was
amazing.
I was
You
early
were
in.
there
I was
early,
early in on
weren't you?
Twitter. Yeah.
Yep. Random stuff here. Tom Cruise is going to make an appearance at the World Cup final, and FIFA is not saying in what capacity.
Oh, like skydiving.
Yeah,
Something like
I
that.
bet you he
that's what
comes out
that's
of the
got.
plane, yeah.
Mhm. And Jennifer Hudson will sing the U.S. national anthem. We have insect news.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. I mean, this is like twice in
I
1
know.
week. I can't even tell you because we've been missing it by so much, right?
It's time for insect news.
You guys. An ant biology expert says that when you see an ant inside your house, you should not squish it. When you squish an ant, it releases pheromones that signal to other ants in the colony. And whenever they get that distress signal, worker ants rush over to remove the body. So what starts as one ant can quickly turn into an entire swarm.
What if you remove the body on your own?
You could do that. They recommend. Well, no, because the pheromone will already have gone out. But the quicker you are, the better, of course. Depending on the type of ant, things can get bad fast. If it's a fire ant, they really come in. Now, the best thing you can do is just set the ant outside. They also recommend trying
one
to
is
block
doing
entry
this.
points. I'm just saying.
Okay, should you lure it outside so you
just
don't
push it
kill
up
it?
onto a piece of paper
This is-
and take it outside.
This is interesting. I had my bug guy come today.
Yeah,
Paul
I
came over
have a
and
better idea. Yeah,
sprayed.
the bug guy or
Yeah.
raid.
Uh-huh.
Raid.
Well,
That's a good- yeah.
We'll see. It's just something I had not heard before.
Remind me about the bug guy when we come back. I'll
Yeah.
test you
I
guys
had
out
a little
on the
carpenter.
story.
I had some carpenter ants.
Yeah,
those
that's
are
not
real.
good.
Those are
Those are bad.
That'll
those are
get you.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do want those removed. We'll see. I've just had never heard that before. And they also say you can wipe down surfaces with lemon juice and vinegar to throw off the trail.
Okay. I
if
think
you
we're all going to
do
be okay.
actually smash it.
Yeah.
We don't believe it?
No.
I can't
And
find
I don't.
argument. This is
Even if
science.
it's true. Even if it's true, I don't care.
Well, that's more like it.
Mark's gonna get carried out of his home by a group of ants here in the next
Yes, he
week.
is.
Fire ants will kill me. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And finally, in Sue's news, we have today's random fact. I'm keeping an 80s movie theme. Only 2 of the 20 highest grossing 80s movies have not had a remake, sequel, or prequel. Can you think? It's pretty tight. E.T.
I want to say Back to the Future,
and
but there was a
Rain Man.
couple.
Rain Man. Oh, both great movies. That usually works, and it didn't work today, and I don't know what happened. And Ethan's going to have to tell me what happened because I have no idea. That's when the Fox Business folks are supposed to start, and it didn't happen. Did I have something turned down that I'm not supposed to have turned down?
Hold on, he's looking.
No, that looks pretty good right there.
Okay.
It's weird because usually they start late anyway at Fox. Yeah, here we go.
Looking at a throwback design for its
Aha.
next iPhone. The tech giant says it's planning a dramatic redesign for the 20th anniversary iPhone next year. Tech insiders say that the device will feature a return to an all-glass back, fulfilling a long-held vision of a phone that looks like a single, seamless slab of glass. The anniversary model is also expected to feature a completely bezel-free display with cameras hidden entirely beneath the screen. On Wall Street, stocks finished today with modest gains. The Dow and NASDAQ up over 150, while the S&P saw a modest gain. That is your money now.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from Big Wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Do you have any evergreens in your yard? It might be time for a health checkup. Mark Cox here for Hanson's Tree Service. My friend Chad Hanson tells me he's been seeing a lot of evergreens dying due to environmental issues from the last couple of years. A winter drought 2 years ago, combined by a very wet spring, is wreaking havoc on a lot of these evergreens. Let Hanson's Tree Service help. Call them today at 636-379-1830 or online at hansonstree.com.
It's motorcycle season in St. Louis. Time to ride. When the road gets rough and you're injured in an accident, you need someone who's got your back. You need Kaufman Townsley. We're local, we know St. Louis, and we don't settle unless it's what's best for you. When it's not, we go to trial, and we bring decades of experience with us. Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777. That's 314-777-7777.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from Crawford Butts Insurance. As we reflect upon the 65th anniversary of Crawford Butts and we enter the heart of the summer season, I hope that you're able to take some quality family time and enjoy your family and friends, especially as we join together as Americans celebrating our 250th anniversary as a nation. So from all of us at Crawford Butts, a blessed summer and happy birthday, America. Contact me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show at 4:33 sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
250 years of capitalism, private ownership, and rugged individualism. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
One thing I didn't mention when we were talking about the All-Star game is I kind of passed over Riley O'Brien. He ended up pitching in the second inning.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one of the first things that happened is he hit one of the better players from the American League. I think that he was in the All-Star game,
the Home Run
Derby. Junior Caminero, who was hit. At first, man, I thought it was in the face. I thought O'Brien hit him in the head. He reared back. It ended up being right, and Alex, you can relate with this probably. It was a 98-mile-per-hour sinker that hit his pinky or his two small fingers, and it looked very painful. They took him. He went right into the dugout, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Someone else, pinch runner. They took x-rays. They said he was okay. But you can tell me this, too, because one of the things I always wondered about Major League pitchers, because you know that they feel bad unless they're plunking on purpose, right? Because you don't want to hurt somebody. But in this case, I guess Riley did go over to the clubhouse, and he said, I felt absolutely terrible about that. Last thing I want to do in an All-Star game is hit someone and, God forbid, hurt him. But, yeah, I went over there. I wanted to check on him, make sure he was all right. He was very understanding and classy about it. Caminero said, yeah, look, with O'Brien, I really appreciate the gesture. He came into the clubhouse to apologize, but I told him, no, it's part of the game. He was really worried, but I told him, look, these things happen. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy the night. And, yeah, we caught up and both felt really good. Everything's okay. So that's cool because that was a pitch that just he didn't locate at all. And it got away from him. And, you know, he was very visibly upset, I think, when the play happened. But my question would be is like, how often does that happen? Because you never see a pitcher go right up to a batter and say, dude, I'm so sorry. That's not part of the protocol. Mm-hmm. But do you feel like it happens a little bit more often, or someone shoots a text and says, hey, you know, I hope you're okay, or is it something that doesn't happen? Is that just is it unique because of the All-Star game?
I think it's probably unique because of the All-Star game and the circumstances.
Yeah.
Because realistically, it's a meaningless game. So if Junior gets hurt and it affects the rest of their season.
Well, right.
Because you're on a field full of all-stars, so all of these guys are having great years. And if, he gets hit in the hand and breaks his hand, God forbid, it's like there's a lot of downward spiral effect that comes from that. Now, regular season, it's like it's part of the game. Maybe this situation, it's like, okay, maybe it got away from him.
Yeah.
It definitely got away from him. But I was kind of surprised that he went up and in on him anyway. especially in an all-star game.
Well,
You're pitching a guy up and in.
Yeah, I don't think he was supposed to go that up
right.
and in.
So it's like I don't know. I mean, no, but do I think that it happens where their guys are apologizing and stuff like that? I don't think that.
No, because it's part of the game.
That's
right?
probably
Okay.
happening.
Hey,
yeah.
Sue, listen to this little nugget. You ready? We love our friend George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. We did Tech Talk Tuesday with him last night. You ready for this little trivia nugget?
I'm ready.
His grandpa was the optometrist for the Alton Giant.
No way.
He says the eyeglasses he's wearing in the pictures and, of course, represented in the statue are all from his grandpa, who is the optometrist in downtown Belleville, Highland, and Alton. How crazy
Holy
is that?
cow.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty
How
cool.
big was the chair he had to
Exactly.
That is a very legitimate question, Alex Rich.
Right.
I don't know the answer to
maybe
that.
they had to get him out like a step stool or something to get to sit on the ground, basically.
So I got to ask you guys this question because I can't wait to be judged mainly by Sue and Fred. I feel like I'm going to get a little bit of allegiance here with Alex, but we'll test it out. So getting ready, eating dinner last night, getting ready for the All-Star game. I think the game had actually started already. It was right around, a little after 7 or something like that. Get a knock on the door. I don't get knocks on the door very much, right? We have our friend next door, Amanda, who hangs with Alexa. She just comes in, comes in the garage door. People don't really knock on the door. We don't really because we're elitists in my neighborhood.
Sure.
We don't like solicitors.
Nobody likes solicitors.
That's why you live out there.
Right. So I don't know if I told you guys this story or not, or if I ever said it on the air. I might have. I can't remember. But let me take you back to 2 years ago, a couple of days ago. And this is a true story. On the Saturday of the assassination attempt, okay? And I was in my basement when that happened. This was Butler, okay?
Okay.
You look
Okay, I was
confused,
good,
Fred. This
'cause
is all going to
yeah,
come
I'm
full
trying to figure out
circle.
which assassination.
Hang on. Yeah, well, that's actually a good question. Butler. We just had the anniversary, okay? Like 3 days ago, I think, was the 2-year anniversary of this happening. So, I mean, when that happened, it was mind-blowing, and we didn't know what was going on. So that was one day that I got a knock on the door. And there's a guy out there, and he's trying to tell me that he has an appointment at my house. I'm like, dude, you don't have an appointment at my house, okay? And he's like arguing with me about, I'm like, look, I think it was a roof. I don't know if it was a roofing guy or something like that. And I got pissed off, and I basically told him to, get the F out of my yard and leave me alone. And then he drops this, I can't believe it. And he's like indignant about it. He goes, I was in the military. I'm like, okay, thank you for your service, but I don't want you here. And I was more amped up that day because of the shooting. I'm just going to tell you, if I would have had to redo that whole scenario, I still would have kicked his ass out of my yard because he was trying to tell me that I had an appointment that I did not have. And he kept trying to insist upon it. And it was ridiculous. All right. So last night, knock on the door, right? No one is going to knock on my door that I'm going to want to see.
Why are you answering the door? I think the rest of us ignore it.
The garage was open. I mean, he rang the doorbell and he rapped on the door, right? So it's like, hey, I'm doing some work here next door for Jason. I'm like, yeah, cut to the chase. What are you selling? He goes, oh, well, we've only talked for like 10 seconds. I said, get to the point. I'm watching the All-Star game. And he didn't even want to answer my question. I'm like, dude, I'm not interested. And I just left. I closed the door. I don't want people knocking on the door selling me stuff, especially when it's not allowed. And we seem to have more and more of that. And they're all hawking. See, this is where the bug thing comes into play, right? So I'll just do it again just because I like it so much. So let's just do this. Here, ready?
It's time for Insect News.
I know what he was doing. He's like, hey, I'm spraying over here for bugs at your neighbor's house. Would you like me to do it? No, I would not like you to do it because I don't want to pay for that and I want to watch the All-Star game. Leave me alone. But then I come off like the rude guy at the house last night because I closed the door in his face.
I think like the rest of us, you don't answer the door. You look at your doorbell camera, see who it is, and ignore it.
Okay, I'll step in because
I don't have a doorbell camera.
Well,
I got cameras outside
strike
of the front.
one.
Well, okay, I don't have. I have a security system that has cameras, but I don't have one right on my doorbell. That's probably not smart.
You do need that. Why don't you have that?
Right. Yeah, I don't
know.
I
will say, I also answer the door at times because if you don't, the dogs are inside just going absolutely nuts until the person leaves your front porch. So for me, that's why I answer the door. But I'm the same way. It shouldn't even be allowed to knock on somebody's door unless you're there like to be at their house for like a dinner party or something. Like,
leave me alone.
Don't come to my house
Right.
selling me stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole neighbor thing is crazy. They always make up the story. I'm helping Linda down the street.
No, exactly.
No, Linda
they're
didn't
not.
even live on the street.
Exactly. Thank you. I knew I was going to get solidarity here from Alex.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Now, Fred would have never been that rude. Fred would have been.
I'd have been very patient, listened to him.
Would you have taken his estimate?
But I would have politely said, hey, I'm watching the All-Star game, probably not the best time.
Ah,
but I wouldn't have slammed the door in his face and said, go, or something like that. I can see that happening.
You wouldn't answer my question.
In your neighborhood.
3 or 4 times I said, what do you sell? Just get to the point. Get to the point. Cut to the chase, bro. He wouldn't do it. I'm like, okay.
Even when you said, bruh, because that's really appealing.
I'm just telling you.
What would somebody have to be selling you for you to buy it? For them door-to-door
That's
knocking,
a good question.
what would they have to be selling?
I'll answer that question.
I'll tell you.
If it's a kid from the neighborhood.
Vinyl records.
No, wait a second.
If
here.
it's a kid,
If it's
you're
a
right.
kid that is selling
Fundraiser.
for a school fundraiser, pizzas, cookie dough, I buy those all the time. The Girl Scout cookies, even if I've gotten Girl Scout cookies, if someone from the neighborhood comes by, I'm signing up. So I'm not, the kids are fine. Any of that kind of stuff is fine. And by the way, half the time I get a knock on my door, you should know this, Sue, because my dog is running around the neighborhood because Olaf gets out. That happened a couple of days ago because I let him, I don't think I admitted this one. I've only done this a handful of times, but I left for work and I let him outside. I forgot to leave him in. And he was wandering down our block, probably trying to help the guy that was selling the, the pest control or whatever.
If you don't leave them in the backyard when you go, you're talking to me on the phone on your way into work. You're like, oh no, I got the dog in the back seat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's happened too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Where I've kind of forgotten.
That's a true story.
One of these days, I think one of those dogs is going to make it in here with me. And by the way,
I love it.
Quick update on Smokey the kitten. Took him to the vet today for his checkup. 3 weeks after the first checkup, he goes from 2.7. Wait, I got to get this right. I don't want to give you an inaccurate reading on the weight. The weigh-in today.
You can round it off.
It was. No, I don't want to though because I want to be very exact.
And
here.
it's such a small weight.
2.72 to 4.9 pounds. So he's not quite doubled his weight in 3 weeks, but he's gained. He's eaten healthily. The kitten.
Wait,
and by the way,
total
Duane
weight is what?
He's under 5 pounds. He's a tiny kitten.
Oh,
he's a little tiny kitten.
You know what? I apologize. I was thinking of the puppy while
No,
you were
no,
talking
no.
about that.
Because
I'm an
the
idiot.
puppy had to go yesterday because he's got. This is it. He's got kennel cough. So I had back-to-back vet trips, but this was just like the normal thing for the
That's
kitten.
so sweet.
How
I
much
got to
is the-
meet him.
How much does the puppy weigh?
The puppy weighed 64 pounds. And I didn't think he was over 60, but he weighs 64
Was he just
pounds.
over a year?
I told
Just over a year.
Yeah.
I won my bet in the end with Jeannie Sullivan because she said, and she had to admit this the other day, she said, I said he'd be 60 to 80, okay? She said no more than 60. He's weighed in the last 2 times, right around 64. I win the bet. I don't think there was anything on the line, but it's my pride. And by the way, Duane Patterson, who's coming up here after 5 o'clock, he's showing solidarity. You never feed the door-knocking trolls. Thank you. He's with me 100%. We're coming back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Or is he with the rest of me who doesn't answer the door?
That's
We'll
not.
find out.
I guess I should start doing that. If my garage doors were closed, maybe I would have done that.
That's
Did they not close?
Well, they were open last night. No.
Okay, we don't know what's happening,
So
Fred.
confusing.
It's everything's up for grabs. On the roads, westbound 70 is a little bit slow headed out of downtown and at 141. Big jam on northbound 61 headed for Highway P, and that is due to an accident there. 6440 westbound. It's slow pockets approaching Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing at 270. And then again, 141 out through the Clarkson area. And one more time at Prospect. Southbound 270, moderate volume in pockets headed down toward Gravois. And we look good on the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. We would like to congratulate them. It is their 50-year anniversary. And you don't stay in business that long by not being great. They've got quality products, outstanding service. Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Give them a call today and let them show you why 50 years is just a start. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And Duane Patterson, who's coming up after 5, has made another brilliant point here this afternoon, Alex. The reason that we have solicitors is because of Sue and Fred, because they engage.
Yeah.
You're the problem.
We're here to celebrate America's 250th birthday in 2026. This is 97.1 FM Talk. America 250 is sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw. When we meet our clients for the first time, they have built up a lifetime of savings. Their question is, what can we do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? First, we develop a strategy to protect your nest egg from any market losses. Then, we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money.
You've earned it, and it's our job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call us now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. You will also get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. We've been helping retirees and pre-retirees retire with confidence for 40 years. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-887-4333. 314-887-4333. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-887-4333.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job. Cut the Bull PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Want to make the most of your tax refund? File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
I want to talk about this guy a little bit here, Lenny Kravitz. It's hard for me to talk about him because, like, when I look at Lenny Kravitz, it's like looking at myself in the mirror.
Messy. You wear leather pants?
It's awkward. Well, my abs, basically.
Sure.
It's the abs.
Sure.
So, it's a little embarrassing to be talking about this. But no, on a serious note, so there's an article in the New York Post today about Lenny Kravitz and his abs. And let me just say, I've said this before, Sue, and I think you've agreed with me. There are very few people on the entire planet that emit more of a cool vibe than Lenny Kravitz.
100%.
I don't think I've seen
hot,
anyone.
He is cool. He is all of the things.
I have a man crush. I do him. I'm just telling you right now. I've got a man crush.
It's understandable.
Cool.
So there's a story that says while he's always been in fantastic shape, he underwent a kind of fitness, he calls it a renaissance. Get it?
Uh-huh. Got it.
Later in life. This is a cover story. I guess they're ripping from a cover story that's in Men's Health in the New York Post, which is called, it's just something about Lenny, and he's on the cover with his abs. But before he turned 50, he said he felt bloated and out of sorts. So who doesn't do this? You know what he did? He moved in with his personal trainer.
That's right.
And close friend in Miami for a half a year.
Uh-huh.
Why wouldn't you just move in with your
Might as
trainer,
well.
right?
Sure.
So Dodd Romero is the trainer. He's worked with him for 30 years.
Wow.
This guy also works with people like Denzel Jennifer Lopez, Ryan Seacrest. Hopefully he's
Wow.
not working on Ryan Seacrest's face because that needs a
That's
little.
another side.
That needs
doesn't
less
it?
help these days. So I guess that this guy puts Kravitz on a tough workout routine in the gym, bike rides, and that's what kind of gave him a commitment. But he works out 5 or 6 times a week for 45 to 60 minutes. That's not. It's still a tight time frame, if you will. He says, you realize as you keep spending time on the planet that aging is not how you thought it would be. Now I'm in better shape than I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Jeez.
10 years from now, I'll be in better shape than I am right now. He's 62, so he's basically my age. He's just a little bit older. But, look, on that front, I'm very concerned because I see and I play pickleball with people that are in their 70s right now. They're in pretty good shape. But if you don't work on it, like there is going to be a cutoff where your muscles are not going to be where you want them to be if you don't start getting active and lifting weights. I don't lift weights enough. I get bored by it. So that's why I do racquetball, pickleball, and, some of the other things. But I probably should lift weights. Now, Lenny and I have the same ab routine. That's why we're so closely.
Certainly.
But listen what he does there. So when he works out, this is interesting, and maybe there's something to that. When he starts on bicep curls, he does 55 reps with just 10 pounds. So he does high reps.
Yeah, got to get the cut going.
And then at the end, he finishes 40 pounds for 5 reps. So he's not lifting a lot of weight, but he's just doing rep. On the 6-pack, which they say in Men's Health morphs into an 8 and an 11-pack.
Jeez.
Maybe a 10-pack over the course of a workout. He does 2 or 3 sets, and I hate doing sit-ups and stuff like that.
Because they're horrible.
2 or 3 sets of 21 reps of core exercises, such as hanging leg raises, planks, and different crunches. And he says, and you'll like this, Sue, he goes, all of this is natural. No peptides, no human growth hormone, no testosterone.
Good.
He says, though, there's nothing wrong with people who do those things, but there's an alternative. You can do it naturally with exercise and food. Is it harder? Yes, I would agree with him. Does it take more work? Yes, but that's how I chose to do it, and it's 100% attainable. For him to look the way he does. Now, here's one thing I would say. Do you know what his waist is?
28.
Yeah, I was going to say 28.
And this is what he said that really relates with me. There's nothing else. Believe me, the 6-pack I was clearly joking about. But he says, and this is kind of how I do it, maybe a lot of guys and even women, that you can feel it in your pants, right? He goes, look, the pants don't lie. And the same thing with me. I went down to 157 with the anxiety a year ago, and I had clothes falling off me. But I'm kind of comfortable between about 165 and 172. But I can tell if I'm 173, 174, the pants don't fit as well. So I'm with Lenny on that.
Did you read in that article that he actually works out, since he does this performances on stage in leather pants?
In the leather pants, the video went viral.
Yeah.
That he works out in leather pants.
I do that too, though.
Oh, do you?
That's not as unique as you think.
Okay.
Have you ever worn leather pants?
I wore it this morning at the MAC playing racquetball, Alex. No, I've not worn leather pants.
I never have, but I think I would love to be able to pull leather pants off.
I don't think you can.
I don't think my waist. When you're a 28 waist, why not?
Yeah, exactly. If
You
you
know?
got it.
That is skinny though, because look,
it is.
I've if
What's
I'm
he
down
weigh?
to my
Does
150.
it say what he weighs?
I don't think it said. But look, that has to be. He's got to be under 155.
I don't care. I'm going to ask how tall is.
And that matters too. Brandon Flowers of the Killers, he's kind of a shorter guy.
5'9".
Yeah, so I'm 5'9.5", 5'10" in the program, so he's not super short.
What does it say the weight? Can we get a weight from him soon?
Stand by.
I was going to say,
at
Brandon Flowers is a 29 waist.
165.
Brandon Flowers talked about buying women's jeans before just to get them to fit, which I think is weird. 164?
No.
That's
165.
Muscle weighs more than fat, though, Mark.
Yeah, he's lean.
You know?
He's a lean, mean fight machine there. Okay. That's my new goal,
I think I'm going to
165.
get leather pants and wear them for my next gig.
Okay.
Next Cardinal game or something?
dear.
Be rocking leather pants?
I dare you to do that, Alex
Mark.
Rich.
Wouldn't that be something?
We have a question for you on the feed. Why do you leave your garage door open at night? And
It
question
was
number
7
2.
o'clock at night. We had just pulled in the house. My wife had just gotten home with dinner.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
That's too
You
bad.
feel like you are a big
I don't
open
get-
garage door guy, though.
But we
I
take,
feel like every time I've ever come over, your
Yeah,
garage
they're
door's
open.
been open.
Yeah.
Should I just give my address and have people just come in whenever they want to at this point?
I was going to say maybe it's easier instead of having people knock on your door, just have a sign that says "Come on in through the garage."
It was
garage
early.
is open.
We often still take the dogs for a walk. We go through the garage. My goodness, the judging, not only from the panel, but from the audience this afternoon. I'm going back to work on my 10-pack or 11-pack or whatever it is. Alex, we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Now I'm going to get Lenny Kravitz and everything because I've looked him up twice, which is great. I mean, I'm not complaining. But southbound 270, a little slow at 70 this afternoon, and northbound is slowing in the right lanes, headed for 70. Most of the volume now is westbound 64, and it's Kings Highway in pockets out through 270 at Clarkson, and again out at Prospect. We've got northbound 61 slowing north of 64, and there's a point north of Highway P that they're slowing as well. Southbound 270, moderate volume at Manchester in pockets to just south of 44. 55 looks okay. And if you're headed into Illinois, we're fine on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Why pay full insurance when you can customize and save? Switch to Liberty Mutual and they'll customize your auto and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know, we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. Creates minority rule, or just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I've no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Pay 4 buttons or inch per care governance.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. You know, the doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000, the doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Have you heard those ads claiming Amendment 4 stops conservative amendments?
That's not true. It actually stops a couple big cities from pushing radical ideas into our Constitution. Remember 2024? Only 8 out of 114 counties voted to allow transgender surgeries on children.
That's terrifying. We can't let just a handful of counties rule the whole state.
Exactly. Amendment 4 requires broad statewide support and keeps foreign money out of our elections. Vote yes on 4 this August 4th.
You convinced me. I'm voting yes too.
Paid for by Freedom Principle MO, Missouri First PAC, Kate Sickles, Treasurer.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Missiles deployed. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The U.S. military says it's disabled a Curacao-flagged oil tanker trying to breach the reimposed blockade on Iranian ports as the U.S. carries out a second round of strikes today against Iran. President Trump saying we will have Iran defeated soon.
President updating the war effort at a conference in Pennsylvania of defense and technology executives.
That's true with all of the munitions people, actually. Faster, we need a little more speed.
President Trump is urging Congress to sign off on a record $1.5 trillion Pentagon budget.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. A plan to suspend most vehicle stops by immigration agents is off the table.
This morning, President Trump overturned that pause, calling the traffic stops one of the agency's most effective crime-fighting tools, saying without them, ICE would just play right into the criminals' hands. DHS says agents use these traffic stops because you don't need a judicial warrant. It's different than going in someone's house.
Fox's Alexis McAdams. Tough questions today from a Senate panel for the man who wants to lead the Justice Department.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says he's working to restore public trust in the Justice Department, also highlighting plummeting crime rates nationwide under the Trump administration's DOJ.
We are keeping America safe, and we are just getting started. I love this country. I love the Department of Justice.
Blanche rejecting accusations that he'd used the department for political purposes as Democrats questioned him over his prior role as the president's personal defense attorney. Republicans largely focused on Blanche's experience as a federal prosecutor.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. During the hearing, Blanche insisted the nearly $1.8 billion fund that had been set up to defend supporters of President Trump was not going forward, but several lawmakers, including Texas Republican John Cornyn, raised concerns that the fund would be resurrected. America's listening to Fox News.
Point.
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace.
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The summer creep started to come back this afternoon. Clear skies. It's warm and humid this evening. Nothing extreme. 74 for the overnight low. Thursday, partly sunny, warm and humid. 93. Again, some spot thunderstorms around during the afternoon, Thursday into Thursday evening. The strongest, some heavy downpours and some lightning, but nothing severe. 75 Thursday night. Friday, partly sunny, warm and humid. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
One of the cool stories we're going to follow here a little bit later in the hour is former Cardinal Kyle McClellan. I love Kyle. I've known him for a long time. He is bringing a professional women's softball team to St. Louis, and I think it's super cool. There's some other Cardinals that are involved in this for coaching. Trevor Rosenthal and Matt Adams involved, so Kyle's going to fill us in on all of this coming up. He's got a great charity also that he is really taking care of some people down in Haiti for a long time. So we'll hook up with him here in just a few minutes. We have audio cut of the day as well. Right now, Duane Patterson with HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast, who is in solidarity with me on solicitors and how to react to them at your front door. Right, Duane? Thank you for your support.
Oh, absolutely. You answer the door, and that's fine. I know Sue just likes to ignore it.
Yes. Why would you answer, Duane? Seriously.
Because I relish slamming the door in their face.
Of course you do.
I will tell them. Look, I am 59 years old. There is absolutely nothing you can tell me that I have not heard or care about.
Right.
And I have never once in my life bought anything door to door, and today is not your lucky day. Slam. That's just how it goes.
Right.
You two are
pretty
charming.
standard. I know. Well, you're rude enough. You don't even open the door. We're polite enough to open the door.
Is it?
Look,
so you can slam it.
We're in radio. It's not like we're not surrounded by advertisers all day long. And by the way, our friends at Barron Mirror Glass and Door Retirement Key, Paramount Men's Medical Center,
I
and
love
Liberty
this.
Mutual.
He knows them all. Yes.
Yes.
You got to support them for the show. We of course love them to pieces. But when we go home, we don't want more people coming to us to advertise.
No, we do not. Thank you for setting that straight. How are you?
I'm doing grand. How are you?
That's good. I'm pretty good. I don't even know where to start here because there's a lot going on. But let me start with this, just because we got a kick out of this. I know that you know this, Duane, but Joe Biden has a book coming out on November 17th. Listen to this.
Since I left the presidency, I've had a lot of people ask me, Joe, what have you been doing? I've been spending a lot of time with my family. I've been dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and I've been getting treatment, and it's been going really well.
Now, when Ethan pulled this audio, he told me they had subtitles because you cannot understand what he's saying.
It meant the world to me and to Jill. I've written a book about my time as president.
We can't wait for that, can we? November 17th. What is he going to write about?
Have you ever seen Clarkson's Farm?
No.
Jeremy Clarkson, British TV host. He hosts the Millionaire game show over there, and he had a GT car show for 20 years on BBC. Famous guy. He's like he's like the Mike Rowe of England, right?
Okay, I got you.
He has a 1,000-acre farm, and one of the recurring bits on this Amazon series he does is he's got a neighbor named Gerald, and Gerald, you can't understand a word he says. You have the subtitles going, and they have no idea what he's saying. And it's a recurring bit for 5 seasons so far that he'll have a conversation that nobody can understand. And Jeremy, the host, is just nodding along and kind of laughing and busting up because he's supposed to be understanding what he's saying, and nobody has a clue. That's where Joe Biden's at these days. Nobody understands what he's saying.
But, I mean, a legitimate question, taking, the cynicism and the mocking that we certainly will do with our side of the aisle, who in his world told him that was a good idea? They have to still be on this island where the only people advising him are Dr. Jill and Hunter, because how could you put that out? Even the first few words you can't even understand. How could they think that's a good idea?
You answered your own question. It's Dr. Jill, Dr. Biden ED, in case you don't know who she is. She's a doctor. Joe Biden and Hunter are the only two that are trying to keep the old man going because the money's gone. Mama needs a new pair of shoes. They have to put him out there again because nobody's got any scratch left to be able to put together a library. They're everything that they had, all the grift, everything that Hunter did, he's blown. So they really have nothing left to show for being in D.C. for as long as he was. And so before he completely goes tango uniform, to use military jargon, they're trying to get one last payday off him by putting him out there with a book.
Do you think that he will, because, look, Dr. Jill's media tour was embarrassing in its own right, but in a different way. But can you send that guy out on a book tour to media outlets to answer questions? That could be fascinating.
My guess is they will set it up so that they're all taped things. They're not going to stick them on The View. He's not going to do it in front of a live studio audience. Everything will be taped. A lot of it will be taped from his basement. I doubt you'll see him out there very much. He just can't do it.
No, and it's just sad, and I think that Jill.
Elder abuse. It's elder abuse.
Jill in particular should really be embarrassed. Look, I understood what she was saying. Like in the immediate aftermath of the debate, you're not going to go up to your husband and say, "Dude, you sucked. What the hell?" Right? That's human nature. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the night of the debate. They let him believe that he was okay for well beyond a time period. Before the debate even happened, when we knew that he was troubled. So it's just taking politics out of it, which is hard to do, is just really sad. All right, Duane Patterson, you booked the president for Hugh Hewitt on Monday. Here's what he said about what I'm calling the memo of misunderstanding.
It was a test. We didn't know. It didn't look. Memorandum of understanding when you're dealing with sleazebags don't mean much, and they don't mean much when you're dealing with honorable people too, because it's a memorandum of understanding. It doesn't mean much. And I said, why are we even? It's a standard tactic in the U.S. that you go to a memorandum of understanding and then you go to the deal. I said, just go to the deal first. But you know what? It was sort of a test, and they weren't there. They didn't honor the test. We had it. We had this deal settled numerous times. I said, watch. I guarantee, watch. And they never followed it.
All right, so he says no more negotiating. They're going in hard. They've been hitting them hard for the last 3 nights. I mean, one question would be, how much more do you have to hit? Now he's talking about maybe power plants and more infrastructure next week. You know, Duane, because we've spoken. I never believed 1 minute in the memo of understanding. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. The president seemed to put a little bit more trust in that a few weeks ago than he is right now. But where are we with all this?
Jim Talent and I have kind of come down in the same place, and we've been talking about it on the podcast the last few weeks. Look, nobody really liked the MOU, and nobody really had any thoughts that it was going to do anything significant long term or lead to anything. But what it did do, at the very least, even if you hate it, it did 2 things. Number one, it allowed us to reload. It allowed us to move some personnel in and out, ships that needed to rotate in and out. It let us give some time to be able to kind of recalculate based upon what the threat assessment was. And number 2, oil price went from 110, 112 in that range when the MOU was signed, and it dropped down to 69, 70, something like that. So it bought Donald Trump about $45 of headroom in the price of oil. Now that we're starting to hit him again, it's gone back up to 80, but it's stayed at 80 the last couple of days, and that may be the new paradigm because the market is starting to price in, okay, so they're going to do this. They're going to maybe hit 1 ship every 10 days or so, and we're still going to get a bunch of other boats going through. A lot of oil is moving west through the pipelines. There's plans for more pipelines. We're in the U.S. are exporting more, especially to the Pacific Rim companies. So the market is adapting to the new normal, whatever the new normal is. And in the meantime, while oil is settled on an acceptable equilibrium, it's not great, but it's not the worst. What we're doing is we're systematically taking them apart so they can't do anything
right, but then,
to harm us.
Taking the gas prices and all that out of it for a moment, what is going to be the definition of finishing the job?
I think what you're going to see is it's like an electrical panel on the side of your house, right? You can flip off one circuit, one breaker, and it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to make you necessarily take notice. But then you flip another breaker. And then you flip another one. And then you keep flipping breakers. At some point, something's going to go down that you care about. And when that something goes down that you care about, all of a sudden, you have to do something to get that power to turn back on. You've got to bend the knee. You've got to do something to be able to turn that power back on. And that's what Trump is doing. He's just going to gradually ratchet it up and keep breaking things until the regime can't they can't sustain themselves anymore. There's no food coming in. There's no resources coming in. There was a ship today, a Curacao flagged ship. This was about an hour ago, that tried to run the blockade and go to Carge Island and load up with oil. We warned it, and it kept going, and we hit it with a hellfire, and it's now just idle in the middle of the Gulf. Iran can't do anything again, and without money and without resources and without any ability next week, if power starts going down, at some point the people are going to say that's enough, and they can't do anything about it.
Well, I hope they say that's enough because, again, I think this thing is really getting a little bit more out of control than the president ever thought. Duane Patterson with HotAir.com, host of the Duane's World podcast. So what is the president, I know that Hugh asked him this, but do you know what the president's going to talk about tomorrow night in his speech? We'll air it here live on 97.1 FM Talk. What's he going to talk about?
As far as we know, it's going to be releasing actual documents. It's going to be releasing the results of a long DOJ investigation into the 2020 electoral campaign, especially down in Georgia, where they had a lot of irregularities with certain precincts and votes and what they took afterwards. And I think it's going to be a speech about how the 2020 election, while it resulted in what it did, it was kind of a fraudulent election. Now, that's not exactly my idea of a good time, But if there is evidence that shows that's the case and that they are trying to do something similar in the blue states again, but that's going to be, from my understanding, what the speech is going to be about.
I just don't know how relitigating what happened in 2020 is politically beneficial. So I'm confused. But I've saved the best and most important political story for last. Do you have any idea what this is?
I couldn't even begin to tell you. Hit me with it.
What if I would say, when you say that, you better be careful, because here we go.
The American people need to know, of course, how and why this chaos is spreading through their streets, and we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now, on Iran and the NDAA, when all the Trump administration...
That was the moment right there. Chuck Schumer was passing a little gas on the Senate floor this morning. That's the biggest political story of the day. I can't believe you didn't know that. That was live on C-SPAN.
Well, now here's the thing about that. Now, your radio, we have to do it on TV as well. We're broadcast on the Salem News Channel as well, so we get the visual image of this. If you go back and you actually watch the tape, you do the Zapruder on it. At about the 8-second mark, right, when the gas is passed, actually right before the gas escapes, right?
Yes, I'm watching the video, actually.
You can see him lift up on his toes to push off.
Well, can you blame the guy? I mean, he's 74 years old, 75 years old. He needed a little help there. These things happen, right?
It happens to the best of us. Look, there are books about everybody does this kind of activity, and the older you get, you kind of lose a little control over it. But that said, it's hard for him to say, well, no, that's not what it was, or anybody in his office or other Democrats say, oh, no, that's not what it was. You can look and you can see him brace and push off and launch.
You know what I would say? This too will pass.
Shall pass.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Duane. We'll talk next week.
Always here to make sure it's on a highbrow show for you.
No doubt about it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've had an interesting commute this afternoon, and if you are westbound on 70 right now, it's a little bit better. There was an earlier accident around Riverview that has been cleared. Some volume now at 141 and just past 94. Northbound 61 is jammed. We now have an accident north of Highway P, and that's really caused a delay. 64 is Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing again at Lindbergh, with eastbound slowing east of Lindbergh through Big Bend. Southbound 270, accident reported near Dorset, and then a slow go in pockets south of 64 down through 44. 55 is still in good shape, and if you're headed into Illinois, we're fine on the Poplar Street Bridge. By the way, out west, 6440 slow, Lake St. Louis Boulevard, out through the Wentzville area. This report is brought to you by i3 Broadband. With the kids home for summer, your house is essentially just all kinds of gaming and streaming, and what you need is i3 Broadband. So give them a call today, 1-866-806-5485, and upgrade to fiber, because life runs better on fiber, and i3 Broadband is here for you. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Wow. There's a lot of traffic today. A lot of stuff to talk about. Also, a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to your home and Banner Construction. They're a great company, been around since 1993. I saw Bill Kaufman not too long ago. Bill and Sam P. have a great company that they're very proud of. And again, they celebrated 30 years in business a few years ago. But they deal with some of the best products that are out there on the planet, like James Hardie Fiber Cement Siding. They're an elite contractor serving the St. Louis metro area, a top-rated contractor selected by customers based on ratings, reviews, and reliability. And, you got a company like James Hardie. I could also say the same about Pella Windows. They both have excellent craftsmanship, great quality products that the team at Banner can install in your home. You want to make sure you're going with a great contractor because these are big projects. They take a long time. They start with a free in-home design consultation, and Banner can do a whole lot for you. They have a great website. If you go to bannerconstruction.com, you can get started, do a little homework, get the phone number, read the blog, see some of the pictures in the showcase. 314-569-1050, the website, bannerconstruction.com, and have a Banner day.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm here with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. Stewie, if there's one thing I know, it's that people are looking for cash right now, and the mortgage being the biggest bill that most people have, is it the right time to refinance or even just restructure their current mortgage?
You know what, Annie? My wife came over to me yesterday and said, you know what, honey? I love you, and your love gives me thrills, but unfortunately, it don't pay my bills. So here's what we're going to do. Do the bagel loan. If you financed your house over the last 3 years, rates are lower today than they've been over that period of time. Call me. We can refinance, save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. Now, many people out there think they have a low rate, but maybe you're paying the PMI or maybe you have an FHA loan. You have to look at the total picture, and that's the mistake people make. They say, hey, I'm in a great position. I can't do better. Wrong. 9 out of 10 people that call us with the same conversation, hey, I'm just calling you just to see. We end up refinancing them and saving them lots of money.
Call Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage, and remember the bagel loan, no closing costs. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Men. Need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
There are, as any day would go, a fair amount of things that I might put up on the X, formerly Twitter, that I don't talk about on the show because they're visual or otherwise, where I just don't get to it. And there is one today that I want to point you to. I posted this a few hours ago, and I had to say, I hope it's real, and I think it is. This was from Kansas City, where a guy literally fell into a porta potty. And there are firefighters, first responders, who show up, and it took them about 10 minutes to get the guy out of the porta potty. They're listening. They're actually they're yelling at him. They're saying, "Listen, go out like the hole." So like it looks like the porta potty might have broken a little bit. So he's literally inside where you would do your deal, which is just disgusting. And he won't come out. And they're like saying, "Stick your head out of the hole." And he just won't do it. But they finally got, I don't know. I don't know the whole story. All I know is it's probably one of the more funny things. And at one point, they're just saying, "Listen, like, dude, do what we're telling you."
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to offer something here up, and I'm going to use this as an example of a couple different things. And I will tell you that there's probably no better example of media bias than what I'm about to explain right now. But let me set it up just a little bit. And I will say this. I've not always had nice things to say about Congresswoman Mary Miller over in Illinois, because I think she falls a little on the kooky nutty side of things in some instances. And she's really big stolen election person. I'll be very curious to see what happens with Trump tomorrow night, because I'm not a big stolen election person. I think we got to move on here and worry about the next election and the one in 2028. But Mary Miller, props where props are due, because she filleted 2 university medical leaders from California in a hearing yesterday about the DEI impact in medical schools, which is ridiculous because, just to bottom line it, what you have is people being accepted to medical schools and doctors being, offered jobs and keeping in jobs if they can give you and they can check off the DEI checklist. Like we are oppressors in this nation, all this other nonsense. That gets you a better gig than if you're a qualified doctor, really good at your expert, in your field. That doesn't matter anymore. Your position on race and gender is what matters. Now, we've already had examples of a Supreme Court justice in Ketanji Brown Jackson who could not define what a woman was, right? We even had more examples of this from, the Supreme Court recently. And then you have Mary Miller going, toe-to-toe with these University of California, San Francisco, and UCLA deans and medical school professors. And this goes on for a while. I'll stop it from time to time. But you tell me how this is not thoroughly embarrassing for these medical school deans and professionals and the left. And here's where the media bias comes in. So I saw this yesterday. I had some of this audio yesterday. I did not use it. If you Google Mary Miller right now and DEI or Mary Miller in Congress, there are literally only two stories that come up about what you're about to hear. One is on Fox and one is in the Washington Examiner. That's it. There's no New York Times, no Washington Post. There are several, and there always are Capitol Hill hearings that go on when Congress is in session. And yeah, they don't all get covered. But there's a reason that this one didn't get covered, and you're going to realize it very fast.
Also troubling, Dr. Benedetti, it appears that DEI has not left UICM. On your school's About page, clear as day, it says, and I quote, "At the University of Illinois College of Medicine, we are committed to diversity and inclusion. We have a number of programs and initiatives in place to promote diversity and inclusion." It's clear that UICM is just hiding the fact that DEI is still its core mission. Dr. Haygood, UCSF's classroom guide titled Framework for Gender and Sex Concepts in Teaching.
This is University of San Francisco. So this is the dean from the University of California, San Francisco.
Advises against using the term pregnant women. Instead, it says to use pregnant people. Who are pregnant people compared to pregnant women?
And this gets so good, it's ridiculous that this is even part of a debate in Congress. It's ridiculous, and you're going to hear this, that these men cannot admit that a man cannot get pregnant. That's where this is going.
Just curious.
So that is a part of a curriculum to help our students who are facing a wide diversity of patients. Of course, the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and I have absolutely no problem with using the word pregnant women.
What? The vast majority? Like all of them, okay? But he doesn't go that far.
Use it myself.
Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
No.
Transgender person?
That's not a biological woman.
No, it's
Has
not.
a non-biological woman ever had a baby?
I would reiterate,
it's ridiculous.
We take care of transgender patients.
It is ridiculous. Yes. She's right. That is a yes or no question. Good Lord.
Dr. Hagood, the UCSF guide I mentioned earlier also advises using a child's self-reported gender identity even if it conflicts with the parent's wishes. Say a 7-year-old boy comes into your doctor's office and reveals he believes he's a girl. Is UCSF advising physicians to explicitly violate parents' moral values and have the doctors address this boy as a girl?
These are very important questions. And by the way, these were things that, some of this stuff was exposed by Jamie Reed in her whistleblower piece from, 3 years ago. But I think she's asking questions that deserve answers.
Our programs are consistent with federal and state law. We undertake comprehensive psychological and mental health evaluations and work with the parents on these issues.
Okay, and I hope that you are consistent with the law because, like I say, we have the right to withhold funding from any institution in violation. Lastly, Dr. Dubonnet, a required course at UCLA Medical School, advises OBGYN students not to, and I quote, assume gender identity. Okay, from another class in May of 2026, it included a disclaimer that while it uses the term she and women, it does not intend to exclude, and I quote, those who have a uterus but do not identify with these terms.
Okay, but really? Okay, I cut it off there, but there's an answer apparently coming here.
What does that even mean?
I'm not familiar with that announcement. I'd have to read the entire thing.
Okay, I hope that you go back and check it out. Can someone have a uterus but not be a woman? Because it seems like your school is promoting that ridiculous idea.
I think, again, as Dr. Hoggett has described, we're treating transgender people, but we're doing that in compliance with state and federal law.
And you do teach biology?
Yes, we do.
Yes, really? This is curious. So I'm going to ask you again, can someone have a uterus and not be a woman? Just say yes or no.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Again, I would need
that's
to ladies.
That's what your medical school is promoting.
The gentlelady's
Mr. Chairman, it's clear these medical schools are hiding DEI curriculum under the guise of medical access.
And by the way, this isn't just the University of California, Los Angeles. It's not just the University of California, San Francisco. It is Illinois. It's WashU. I mean, it is insidious, this DEI stuff, and the way it plays a role in how people get gigs, how they, get elevated in their profession. Shouldn't matter. It should matter how good you are at what you do. But that's been, shoved aside. And the notion that there's a congressional hearing in which experts from two big medical schools cannot define a woman or admit that a biological male cannot have a uterus is stunning, and I think it's newsworthy, okay? I think maybe the Washington Post and the New York Times should cover stuff like that, because that's what got, I love this, because really it's what got Democrats into trouble in the first place, because they would never cover the stories about women, being beaten by biological males in sports because they didn't want to break the narrative, right? Well, everybody else in the country is outraged by it because it's nonsense. 98% of the people in this country, including common sense Democrats who heard Mary Miller right there, agree with her. This is a 98.2% issue, and the 2% are the people running the elite institutions in this country. That's the problem.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are on westbound 70 out of downtown, it's really not bad. But there is some volume at 141 and just some moderate volume in O'Fallon. We have a real jam going on northbound 61. There was an accident really close to North Point Prairie Road, and that has created a huge jam there in both directions. Now, southbound 270 slowing at Dorset, northbound slowing at 70, then some moderate volume, 64 down through 44. 55 looks good if you're headed into Illinois. The Poplar Street Bridge is in good shape as well. This report brought to you by McKelvey Homes. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
McKelvey Homes is breaking ground on something new in O'Fallon, Strawberry Farms. When McKelvey builds something, they do it right. Visit McKelvey Homes to schedule a tour at Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today and move up to McKelvey.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. 1798. The ink was still drying on the Constitution. America was still in its infancy. And the subject of freedom was already at the center of debate. It was a period of tension. Abroad, Britain and France were constantly in conflict. America was caught in the middle, and the newly formed political parties were polarized by foreign alliances. President John Adams and his fellow Federalists in Congress believed that the new nation must be built on centrality and loyalty and aimed to curb political dissent through the Alien and Sedition Acts. Journalists were prosecuted and critics were silenced, though for the public, the legislation was seen as an assault on the First Amendment and remained unpopular. 3 years later, the legislation was not renewed, proving that freedom always prevails over fear.
America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
You work hard, follow the rules, and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck, taxed. Your property, taxed. Everything you buy, taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Hi, this is Steve Butts from Crawford Butts Insurance. As we reflect upon the 65th anniversary of Crawford Butts and we enter the heart of the summer season, I hope that you're able to take some quality family time and enjoy your family and friends, especially as we join together as Americans celebrating our 250th anniversary as a nation. So from all of us at Crawford Butts, a blessed summer and happy birthday, America. Contact me, Steve Butts, at 314-752-2500.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel, Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
I'm John Morgan at Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Over 35 years, I've seen it all. Car crashes, work injuries, defective products, medical mistakes, lives flipped upside down in an instant. But I've also seen something else, the power of fighting back, the power of winning. Over $30 billion recovered and counting. Size matters, reputation matters, results matter. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
5:37. This portion of the show is sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Happy birthday, America, in 2026. Get used to hearing the word semi-quincentennial. America 250 on 97.1 FM Talk. Sponsored by Paramount Men's Medical Center.
Well, we're going to talk a little golf. Dan Reardon, our golf expert, as I always like to say, no relation, even though we spell it the same way, is with us this afternoon. Hello, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mark. We know now that because of the outcome of the World Cup that they will not move the tee times on Sunday to accommodate.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So that was in consideration if England would have won today?
Yes, it was.
Interesting. Very interesting. So are we calling this, like, I always grew up knowing this as the British Open, but it's also like the Open Championship. What do we call it? Can we still call it the British Open?
You can call it the British Open. I respect the British in this situation. It is the oldest championship, so it doesn't have to be designated as the British Open. It is just the Open. But then I challenge them when they talk about the Women's Open in Britain and that sort of thing. But I out of respect for them, I call it the Open. And Mark, let me see if I can pique your interest for this week, because you have a golf course in Royal Birkdale who relies heavily on weather conditions to defend the golf course. And none of those weather conditions will be present this week.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, so it is baked dry. The winds will be less than 10 miles an hour. The rough has already been thinned by the heat wave that's hit that part of the continent. John Rahm said in the pre-tournament press conference he thinks it's realistic that he can hit his 6-iron 285 yards.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, first of all, one thing I was going to ask you, and I think the answer is yes. Sometimes when we Americans tune into the British Open, we are kind of stunned by how brown the grass is. And that's going to be one of those weeks, right? This stuff is dried out. It is not a green course.
No, not at all. And brown is, they don't have the same watering system, so that's not. But this is an exception, This goes back to, I actually was at Birkdale for an Open Championship on a Sunday, and the course was so dry it caught on fire, and they had to bring the fire troops in to get a brush fire out of the place. But this is unusual, and it presents the challenge to the field. Do you want to go full bore and blow it past the fairway bunkers, or do you play it cautious and stay short of the fairway bunkers? Bryson DeChambeau, when he won at Wingfoot, said, I'm going to hit driver on every hole, and I'm going to be so close that I'm going to be able to score. And he did it, and he won. You go back to 2006 at Hoy Lake, Tiger Woods played 72 holes at Hoy Lake, hit a driver one time, and he won. That's the option facing the players this week.
Yeah, there was a piece that was in the Wall Street Journal, and Tommy Fleetwood was quoted, and he said, it's a course that makes you think. He says, you could sit 6 people here, and they may think of 6 different things to do off a tee. And Rory even says, look, it's a good test because where one sees an opportunity to hit a lob wedge, someone else might do a bump and run. And when a course creates doubt in the mind of players, Rory says it's the sign of a proper major championship test. And he goes, when things start to get fun, especially for the viewer, not so much for us, which is probably true.
The issue for the players is not how far they can hit the ball. The question is, how can they stop the ball? And if the RNA decides that they're not going to excessively water the greens to make them soft, that's going to play through all. Because, yes, you can hit a 600, 285 yards, but you cannot land it on the green because it'll just go rocketing over the green. So I said it's going to be an interesting decision for the players, and we'll get an early look certainly tomorrow morning. Like I said, there's no wind in the forecast. There's no rain.
That's so weird, though, right? I tell this story every once in a while. I kind of paraphrase it. I remember I was on an airplane years ago. I probably even shared this story with you. And I'm reading Golf Magazine or Golf Week or one of those, and they had an interview with Dennis Quaid, who is a actor and very big fan of the sport and a really good golfer, scratch golfer at times. And he said that one time he played St. Andrews and he was, in his best form as a scratch golfer. And he said, I think he shot a 72. I don't know if 70 is par 72. He said the very next day he goes out, same course, winds whipping up, crazy weather, shot 102.
Yeah, and that's what's typical in the Open Championship. And you usually get a day or two where that's going to be the circumstance. But they've had this heat dome in that part of the world for a long period of time, and it's not moving. It's not going to move this week. I think it'll be extremely entertaining to see what the outcome. You take the long hitters. Yes, they have an advantage. They'll blow it over the fairway bunkers if they can, and that's where the defense of this golf course remains. The fairway bunkers are deep and steep. And if the players are in those bunkers, they're not going to reach the green with their second shot. The other thing I'll throw in very quickly as far as Sunday is concerned, keep in mind on the back nine, there's only 2 par 5s on this course, and they're both on the back nine.
Oh,
so the opportunity.
That's interesting.
I take you back to Jordan Spieth when he won there in 2015. If you remember what Jordan did, he had that horrible 13th hole where it took forever for him to get rulings, and he came out with a bogey. Then he went eagle, birdie, eagle, birdie, eagle, birdie, birdie, and won that championship. That potential is built into this golf course for this week.
Scheffler's the defending champ here, isn't he?
Yes.
Do you like any names outside of the ones we've mentioned?
If it isn't just the pressure of playing in front of the home folks, this is a perfect time for Tommy Fleetwood. He literally, when he was a young boy, would sneak onto the golf course and play. That's how often he has played at that golf course. And he has the kind of course management that would really be well suited to this circumstance. And he would know the variables. He would know what this course is like when it's really dry and how to play that. But I think it's really difficult when you're playing in front of your friends and your family. There's other pressures placed on him. I would not be surprised, given the fact that he missed the cut and had 2 extra days to practice at this golf course. It's kind of Scheffler is probably better prepared than most of the field because he was there on Saturday playing practice rounds.
Dan, let's briefly here, before I let you go, talk a little bit about what's going to happen here in St. Louis in about 5 to 6 weeks. We were both at the news conference a couple of Mondays ago at Belle Reve Country Club for the BMW Championship. I am very excited about it. I loved it when the PGA was here. The PGA puts on a great, great show. And, boy, there was a lot of work being done out there at Belle Reve, putting up the stands, and they'll have a shop up before you know it. And this is going to be a lot of fun coming to St. Louis, for the first time in, 8 years? It was 2018, wasn't it?
The BMW, yes, for the
PGA Championship, yeah.
And it's not, and nothing's coming back until 2030 with the President's Cup. So you look at this generation of golfers that are out there, the McIlroys, the Schefflers. Yeah, they'll be here in 2030, but there's only going to be a handful of those players. So if you're looking to see live, big-time players in St. Louis, this is going to be your opportunity, and it's going to be, the premier players because they had to earn their way into this championship by winning the week before in Memphis or by fishing high enough in Memphis just to get here. So there won't be any sponsors exemptions or defending champions or anything like that. These will be the players who earn their way into the field, and that's the best possible circumstance I can think of when you talk about a field.
It's the weekend or the week of the 18th through the weekend of the 23rd at Bellerive. Look, I would say this, Dan, and I think this is accurate. You tell me. If you were out there for the PGA Championship, you may have gotten crushed by huge crowds with, Tiger and Phil and some of the other big names. There won't be quite as many people at Bellerive for this event, I would guess, right?
And that's because you mentioned the key word there. I always contended that as big a success as that PGA Championship was, it was primarily pushed over the edge because Tiger was in the field.
Yes.
And that was once in a lifetime opportunity in St. Louis. And he's not going to be there. So this will be a little more moderate crowd, and I think the gallery's ropes will be pretty accessible to the field.
I like going out, like if you go out on Saturday or Sunday when in technically these guys might not be even, in competition for a win, but you can get up on a tee box where there's not a lot of people and see big names, and it is a blast. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and this is a golf course with good spectator access, which, by the way, is true of Royal Birkdale. The golf course plays in the valley, with dunes on both sides. It's a great place to watch a golf tournament being played.
Dan, thanks for the update. We'll get some leaderboards. Oh, one more question. What is our time difference going to be here? How are we going to watch this compared to when it's being played?
I think we're off at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., I believe, in the morning, their time, which you're going to have to get up awfully early in the morning to see the early groups out.
Yeah, but by the time we wake up, they'll be later in the day or kind of repeating some of those. That's the only weird thing about the British Open is you kind of get thrown off with all the time. But I guess the Europeans and elsewhere are doing the same thing with the World Cup right now. Dan, we'll talk tomorrow night. We'll get a leaderboard update. How does that sound?
Enjoyed it.
All right, take care. Audio cut of the day coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Some volume on southbound 170 approaching 6440, eastbound 40 slowing at 170. Westbound isn't bad, just moderate volume Hampton on out through McCausland. The worst of it is on 61 out west tonight. There was an accident really close to North Point Prairie Road, and traffic is just a parking lot in both directions out there. Woo! Now, westbound 64 is slowing at Prospect. 70 isn't a bad bet. Out of downtown, it looks pretty good. On the Illinois side, we're quiet on the bridges. 64 eastbound, though, slowing approaching 157. That, of course, due to road work. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they have been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. Windows, siding, kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces. Quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Let's get you on either a path or a better path to retirement with the official financial planners of this show. It's Thomas Helbig, his nephew Bob Kershaw, Bob's wife Tammy at the Retirement Advisory Group here in St. Louis. We love the team over there. They're going to teach you some things that maybe you don't know when it comes to your retirement. That's why we do these seminars from time to time. We do 5 a year. We got another one coming up probably toward the end of summer, but there's no time like the present to make an appointment, go in with Bob and Tammy, have a conversation, let them see where you are. If you're 59 and a half, you can roll that 401k into something that's going to save you some money with taxes, but they're going to provide you with a plan that will provide you with income for the rest of your life. That's the whole goal. That's the strategy to make it last as long as possible. How can they say that they've never lost a client any of their principal? Well, they'll prove that to you because the key is safely linking to the market. Their strategy is going to help you guard your retirement years. It's a situation where, when we do these seminars, we have people that are maybe a long way away from retirement. Annie's certainly someone who's a lot younger than Mark and I, and those people are a lot closer. But it doesn't matter where you fall. If you want to go in, there's no obligation. You get a free copy of their latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. And maybe you kind of have a vibe with them. You love what they're all about. Maybe you don't, but there's no obligation, and it's smart to give it a try. Get signed up today. RetirementKey.com.
Can't get enough 97.1? Follow us on socials. Facebook, X, Instagram at 97.1 FM Talk, and YouTube at 97.1 FM Talk STL. 97.1 FM Talk. Let's connect.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is who do you hire. At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
You feel it every time you check out. Prices up, paychecks stretched, families squeezed. That's why Ann Wagner's fighting to get government off your back and out of your way. Wagner passed the largest tax cut in American history, expanded child tax credits, ended taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. And Wagner is working to lower costs so families keep more of their hard-earned money. But Ann Wagner knows delivering for Missouri means more than just protecting their wallets. It means protecting our streets as well. That's why Wagner fought to secure our border, deport dangerous illegal aliens, partner with law enforcement, and put predators behind bars and off our streets so our neighborhoods and communities stay safe. Because real effective leadership protects what matters most: your money, your family, your safety. Ann Wagner for Congress.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Looking for a career change? The Gelman team with eXp Realty is hiring. Their unmatched blueprint to success, real support, and proven systems help agents take their business to the next level up your future and your earning potential. Take the first step to see if you're a perfect fit at thegelmanteam.com.
Tony LaRussa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, the only disappointment I have from this hour, and I think we're going to make up for it tomorrow because I'm genuinely very interested in my friend Kyle McClellan, former Cardinal, won the World Series with the Cardinals in 2011, great member of the pitching staff. He's a St. Louis guy, and he's been very active in the community. He's helping bring a women's professional softball team to St. Louis. That's
interesting.
At least to test the waters. And even Matt Adams is involved with this, so a couple other Cardinals are involved. And I want to hear what Kyle has to say about this because it's kind of in the process of happening, and they're trying to, I guess, test a model just to see if St. Louis is a good spot for a professional franchise. And I guess they have one in Kansas City, and they did kind of the same thing where they tested the waters just to see, fan interest and player interest and all those things. So it'll be fun to hook up with him. I haven't even talked to him in a while, and we usually keep in pretty good touch, but he had to cancel. He had a little bit of a conflict, but hopefully we'll get him on tomorrow. We got to do this here before we leave.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
I think if you listen to Cut of the Day, I'm a fan of Bill Maher, and Adam Carolla was on his podcast, and they were talking about some woke stuff that I thought was interesting, and here's what it sounded like.
People say to me all the time, oh, you're, Republican and right-leaning. I go, listen, I don't own a gun. I'm not religious at all. I'm for abortion and pot smoking and everything. How right can I be?
You've put your finger on the thing that makes me so incensed about the woke and the far left, which is this, that they want to characterize people, you, me, Barry Weiss, who's a lesbian and Jewish, and things that used to be our, we need no further credentials to let you know that we are certainly not conservatives, we're not right-wingers, we're not whatever you think. And yet it's never enough for them.
Right.
It's never enough that we're just not willing to go along with your insanity. That doesn't make us conservatives.
Right. No, I agree. Barry's great, and there's many people that way.
The only thing I'd say about what Adam said is there's a lot of people who are conservative who don't own guns. There are libertarian conservatives that are certainly, I'm in this camp when it comes to, drug use. Certainly, I am a staunch fiscal conservative. I was never really a big social conservative. I mean, I say I was for gay marriage before Hillary Clinton was, and it's actually just true. But, I think where Adam Carolla and Bill Maher are, and where I am, 80% of the time is on the common sense side.
That's all
where
it
Trump is too. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not ideological, right? It's just common sense, especially with the gender stuff. Bill knows that better than anyone. That's why he tries to fight the people on the left and say, you guys are kooks for buying into this stuff. And then this had to be one of the most important political moments of the year, ladies and gentlemen. If you've missed out on this, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, giving a very important speech in which, well, you'll just have to listen.
The American people need to know, of course, how and why this chaos is spreading through their streets, and we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA.
There it was. It was the fart heard round the Senate chamber. We'll just leave it at that, Chuck Schumer. Thank you for leaving with a little cut of the day. A little whiff of the air of the cut of the day. Sue's like, why did you do this?
What
I just
is with
had
men
to do
and
it.
farting? Just the fascination.
Well, when a guy that is, the minority leader of the United States Senate does it on the floor, we find that newsworthy.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I think my question still stands.
Guys like to act like they're 12,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's part of it there.
There is an accident. There was an accident on 61 out west, and it was really close to North Point Prairie Road, and traffic is just jammed in both directions out there. Eastbound 64 slowing at 170, westbound at Clayton Skinker. And other than that, we look pretty good at this hour. On the Illinois side, though, moderate volume eastbound 64 at 157. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
If you're a business or brand that's still paying for ads people skip or ignore, that's cute.